After a 4-3 road trip, the Mets are back out at Citi Field tonight. They open a 9-game homestand, and all gets going with a series against Shohei Ohtani and the LA Angels. And all the action is coming your way right here on Pix 11 as we welcome you at Spectrum One Mets pregame here on Pix 11. Gary Apple once again alongside the former general manager of the New York Mets. It is Jim Duquette. It is the first time in 6 years the Angels are visiting Citi Field, and it's the first time that Shohei Ohtani is going to play a game out in Queens. Ohtani's former Japanese national team teammate Kodai Senga is going to do the pitching for the Mets tonight. He's coming off a victory. Last time out against the Cardinals, he gave up just a run over 7 innings in that game. Kodai has won each of his last 3 starts. He begins the night 10-6 on the season, a 3.19 ERA. He's going to be opposed by the Angels left-hander Patrick Sandoval. We get a check of the Mets lineup right now. It's brought to you by our local Chevy dealers. Visit ChevyOffers.com. Nimmo and Lindor, McNeil and Alonso once again atop the Mets lineup. Jeff went hitless in the game on Wednesday night, but he's still sporting a 3.19 batting average over his last 30 games. And Pete Alonso begins this night with 39 home runs and 95 RBIs. Mets fans not going to see the 3-time American League MVP Mike Trout in this series. Missing 7 weeks with a left hamate fracture. He returned to action for a game this week, and then he landed right back on the injured list with lingering wrist soreness. Trout has battled injuries over the past 4 years. He's played in only 290 of the Angels' last 614 games. One guy who is going to be in the Angels lineup tonight, the aforementioned Shohei Ohtani, is batting second, and despite suffering a torn UCL in his pitching elbow on Wednesday, he will continue to DH at least for the immediate future. He leads the majors in home runs, total bases, slugging percentage, OPS, extra base hits, and intentional walks, and he's tied for the most triples in the game with 7. The Angels lineup is presented by Chevy. This is a very big week for 2 of the greatest Mets in franchise history. Yesterday, the organization announcing they are retiring the uniform numbers of both Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, the 2 legendary Mets centerpieces of the '86 World Series championship team, going to be honored in separate pregame ceremonies sometime next season. And right now, we are thrilled to welcome Darryl Strawberry to the show. Darryl, always good to see you. Congratulations to both you and Doc. And what about having your number retired by the Mets? Is it something you had thought about, and did you think it was going to happen?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us on the show. Well, of course, me on the show, and talking about Doc Gooden, too. I thought maybe one day that it would happen for us. I didn't know if it was going to come to pass. Was such an honor, when you think about your number being retired. I kind of reflected back on so many things. I was thinking about all the different people that had such a great impact on my career. And Chuck Hiller, my first coach in rookie ball when I came out of high school in Kingsport, Tennessee, and used to call me Turkey Neck. And Gene Dusan, who was my manager in Lynchburg and Jackson, and then Davy Johnson. And you look at all the different people that help you get to that place. You don't forget about them. And I think that's so important. And, when you think about a career, you think about a franchise, you think about the Mets franchise, you think about where we were at when I came up in 1983. We were a poor team, last place team, and most of the guys were on their way out. They were veteran players. And then Doc Gooden comes up the next year and win Rookie of the Year after me. And the franchise turned around, blended in with so many great, wonderful players. And this is just not about me and Doc. This is about the Mets. This is about the players. This is about Keith. This is about Ronnie. This is about Gary Carter. This is about Lenny Dykstra, Wally Backman. Just all the different guys, Ray Knight, all the different guys that had a part to play in this. You just don't play by yourself. It had to be a great team to be a great player.
I was going to ask you, Doc, why do you think it is so important for the organization to embrace its history the way they have in recent years?
Well, I think if you're in New York City and the other team across town, the Yankees, they embrace their history of what sports is all about and their players is all about. I think it's important for the Mets to be able to do that, too, for themselves, because you look at it, you had phenomenal players. You had players that have made history. For that '86 championship team. I always talk about we wouldn't have been that '86 championship team if we did not have Gary Carter. That was a big piece for us. That's a history player. That's someone that came in and made a big impact on what that club was all about to help us get over the top. You know, we lost in '84 and '85, the Cubs and the Cardinals, and then, you know, Carter was on that roster at '86, and he comes up big for us, and he plays big that season for us. And just everybody, you know, the players over the years, all the guys that I had a chance to play with over the years. Number 18 is just not about Darryl Strawberry. Number 16 is just not about Dwight Gooden. It's about the players and the guys, the chemistry, the love and the hate that you had at times. But still, I tell you one thing, when we stepped on that field, we was all business. We wanted to put our foot on your neck every time we got on that field. And that's just the way we were. We came together as a group, and we learned about winning. And winning is everything. When you win in New York, you are rewarded, you know, and you think I don't sit here by myself. I sit here because of a new ownership, Steve and Alex, you know, they have made a decision that the history of this franchise have had some great players, and we need to honor that. And it's such a great honor for myself and Doc to be able to say that, you know, our numbers are being retired for what we did as a young player coming up through this organization and realizing being a homegrown player and getting to the pinnacle top of your career and playing the Shea Stadium like we did and winning ball games every night for those fans. I think that was the most important thing.
One of the things we know, Doc, you, Darryl, one of the things that without question, you and Doc are always going to be linked together. So I wonder about that relationship, what it was actually like when you played together and what it's like now.
Hey, we should have been married. I should have just married Doc, you know, so we could just eliminate all the craziness that everybody was thinking about, because the relationship is always going to be a love relationship between me and Doc, no matter what. We come through this organization and we played together to be a winner. And Doc is a very special person. No matter what we've been through, we're people, we're human beings. We've had our shortcomings in life. But I can tell you one thing. When we put that uniform on every night that we ran out on that field, we believed in each other. I can tell you that. Doc believed in me as a hitter, and I believed in him as a pitcher when he took the mound. So there's a special bond that will always be there. We'll be tied together. Yes, everybody always want to say some animosity there, and that's not true. I mean, I love Doc. I care about Doc more. He's just like a brother. He's like one of my kids. You know, he was a kid behind me coming up. So I'm excited about what has happened for him, what is going to happen for his family just as well as my family.
Darryl, it's so great to visit with you, and such a wonderful honor being bestowed upon you and Doc, and certainly well-deserved. So we look forward to it next season out at Citi Field, seeing your number go up into the rafters at the ballpark. Good to see you, Darryl.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, Darryl Strawberry joining us from his home out in California as we bring it back inside here. And when we think about Darryl and the way that swing, one of the sweetest swings, Jim, in the history of the game, how did his bat change the Mets culture back in the 80s? You
know, I mean, when you go back to that team and really as you watch him as a player, he was one of the first that I can recall 30 home run, 20 stolen base guy. Those power speed guys, they didn't really exist. And he was 6'6", so he did it so fluidly, so effortlessly, and there was a swag to him too. So I think that helped create the culture. The fact that he was homegrown, that he was a Met, I think that really also played into it, obviously with the fan base. But you know, when you were in the front office, I remember talking to Frank Cashin about it. He was the general manager, and it really made a big difference having that impact in the middle of the lineup, where he could then bring in Keith and bring in Gary Carter and some of the other pieces of that lineup. When you had that set guy that you could really count on to be 25, 30 home runs, 90 to 100 runs batted in, and also have that stolen base success that he had.
I thought it was interesting. He mentioned the way that Steve and Alex Cohen, they have really embraced the past and brought these guys into a place that they really feel welcome back out there now. And again, overdue, I would say, for Darryl and Doc, and going to be exciting next season to see their numbers hanging the rafters out at Citi Field. So Jim and I just getting going here. Spectrum One Mets pregame. When we come back, we're going to focus in here on Shohei Ohtani, going to look at how his recent injury might impact him in free agency this offseason, and going to focus in on the matchup tonight between Ohtani and Kodai Senga. How should Kodai attack him in tonight's game? We've got that and so much more when we come back here in just a moment.
Have you been injured?
Baseball's biggest stories.
Robert Flores wearing tweed.
Wake up to big-name guests.
Very special guests hanging out on the crushed red velvet.
This show is tough to get ready for.
And wake up to a whole lot of fun.
Wearing a robe holding a wooden phone.
MLB Central.
It's absolutely hilarious.
The show baseball fans and baseball players wake up to.
Show's starting to pick up.
I love the energy. I love the unexpected performances.
Weekday mornings on MLB Network.
We'll have a little fun and we'll laugh.
Covering a full night of baseball is a team effort. From the first pitch,
Let's go to the ballpark.
to live look-ins and post-game reactions. Tell us how this one feels. That's how this team covers every team on MLB Tonight.
Free agency for him this offseason. We've heard 500, 600, 700 million dollars. How might this injury affect the market for Ohtani?
Well, I think with, out of this, probably between 500 and 600 is where I thought the number would be if he was healthy with his pitching arm or his elbow. Now, because of that, there's so much uncertainty. Now, there are plenty of pitchers that come back from a second Tommy John, which it looks like he's going to need. But there's uncertainty on how much longer he'll be able to pitch beyond that, when he'll start. Likely or earliest would be 2025. That cuts into a year of productivity from the starting side. At the back end of it, how long would he be able to pitch beyond that? We have all these question marks that you really don't know, and it's a little bit of guesswork, which makes it hard to value the pitching component of it. He's going to get, just because he's been as good as he has offensively in stealing bases, around where Aaron Judge got last year, which was $360 million. And then you're going to add that other aspect of the pitching side of it. But I think he lost about $150 million because of this injury, Gary, because teams aren't going to be able to zero in and say with certainty that this guy can pitch for the length of that contract. I think it's a real question mark, and it's hard to find that target.
Does he still get $500 million, even if
no,
you don't think so? I
don't think, unless it's the Angels who know him the best, I don't think that they will. They know the economic impact that he provides, which, as we know, attendance and viewing and all of those sponsorship deals that are out there with Ohtani. They know best. If they pay him and he accepts it, then I think he might get that number. But I think he wants to go someplace where he can win, and Angels just have not done it.
They're not winning. Let's welcome Steve Gelbs into this conversation right now. He joins us from out at Citi Field. Steve, what do you think? Do you think the Mets should pursue Shohei Ohtani this offseason?
Yes, without a doubt. I mean, that's an easy one, Gary, if you're asking me. And I don't know what the Mets were planning to do. They've been tight-lipped about it. I don't know if this is a guy that they were going to pursue this offseason when he had a healthy elbow. But whether or not he can pitch next year or beyond that, he's a guy you have to go after. And listen, you can just talk about what Jim just said. I mean, let's say that you have the possibility now of getting the greatest baseball player in the history of time on a discount now. And even if that pitching is more in question now, at a minimum, he's kind of a hedge unto himself, right? He is right now maybe the best hitter in Major League Baseball. He's got the highest OPS in Major League Baseball, the highest slugging percentage, the most home runs, the most triples. He's hitting over 300. I mean, this guy, forget about the pitching component for a second. This guy is someone that anybody would want in their lineup. And then if he can come back from the second Tommy John, if he does decide to go that route and be a productive pitcher, then you get the unicorn again, and again, maybe at a discounted price. So for me, it's a no-brainer. Anybody that can be in financially on Shohei Ohtani should be in on Shohei Ohtani. And quite frankly, if you're talking about it from the Mets perspective, and this is, going way down the road, if you're the Mets and you're looking more at that 25-26 window anyway, this is another area where you can really utilize Steve Cohen's money, and you say, hey, come on board, have that Tommy John surgery, and next year, just rehab. Don't even worry about the hitting component. Just rehab, get back to full strength, and then starting in 25, see if you can go from there. So it's a ton of speculation, but the core question of should the Mets pursue Shohei Ohtani even with the elbow injury? Yes, 100%. Don't even blink. Pursue Shohei Ohtani, the greatest baseball player again in the history of the sport.
Well, certainly that is up for debate. I would say one of the greatest players. You're sold, Steve?
The greatest.
Boy, I'll tell you what. I think it's a discussion certainly that's worth having. We'd be here for a long time, though, Steve, and we've got a game to get to and a pregame show to continue. Good to see you, Steve Gelbs. He is one of, I think, greatest players in the history of the game. I do want to look at the matchup tonight. Yeah. He is sitting second in the lineup for the Angels. What about Kodai Senga, his countryman? How should he face him tonight?
Well, it's a real challenge. Like you talked about all of the things that he's leading in the sport right now when it comes to his offense. And you look at his heat zone. By the way, he's number one in hitting home runs on the fastball. He's number one on hitting home runs versus the breaking ball. So it's a real challenge there, but Senga has that pitch that goes for it that really, if you look at where he's located and where Ohtani's had a little bit of problem, it's down and away to the outside part of the plate and then down below the zone. So getting him to chase out of the zone is easier said than done. But Senga has done a really good job against some of the top left-handed hitters in the sport. Here he is striking out Harris on a fork. He faced off against Ozzie Albies. He gets that slider down. So he's going to have to mix up his pitches. Really, Olsen, who's been a real nemesis for the Mets for sure. He gets him out on the fork pitch there. Here's Corbin Carroll. Not the same as Ohtani, but still top left-handed hitter. Schwarber, he gets him looking with a fastball. But for the way Senga's been pitching, he's been using that different pitch mix. If he's able to go up and in and then down and away, but use that fork in key situations, I think he can get Ohtani out. It's going to be a huge challenge.
I think it's going to be really compelling to watch them, right? Ohtani has talked about in the past that all his games are on TV over in Japan, and Senga's are not because of Ohtani. So I would imagine Senga's looking forward to this matchup tonight out at Citi Field. More to come. Spectrum One Mets pregame as we get you set for the Mets and the Angels. Francisco Lindor begins this night in the midst of a 10-game hitting streak. Go to examine what he's doing so well at the plate. That is ahead when we come back here in just a moment. There is the aforementioned Shohei Ohtani will be the DH for the Angels, batting second. Back in a moment.
Watch games and coverage all day, every day, your way on MLB Network. Think baseball.
There's something that's been missing in the debate.
Think analysis.
He really looked like the perfect thing to add to this club last night.
Think advanced metrics.
The new rules are having an impact, and I'll bottom line it.
Think MLB Now, the show for the thinking fan, only on MLB Network.
It's like that. Got him, it stays fair.
the dealers comes from this past Monday. Francisco Lindor, that 3-run home run against the Braves reliever Brad Hand, his 23rd home run of the year. Mets went on to win that game, beating the Braves by a final of 10-4. Francisco Lindor has put up monster numbers here, Jim, in the second half, hitting .375. He's got no PS of 1041, and that's all since July the 29th. I mean, he's been on fire. So when you look at Lindor, what's behind those numbers and the success that he's had?
Well, I mean, he's having really a good, successful season, but even during this stretch, it's gotten better. And I think there's a couple of keys. First, we've seen him consistently from the right side. That's been his strength, where he's had the power numbers, right? His career as a right-hand, or at least, this year anyway, versus lefties, .507 slug. You see it there in Atlanta. Here he's going the other way. Well, what I'm seeing with him on the left side is something very, very similar in the sense that he's hitting the ball in the air more, which is, he's one of the top in terms of hitting the ball in the air versus on the ground from last year to this year. So he was a guy that hit the ball on the ground an awful lot there. He's getting the ball out front a little bit more. He's staying back well, so he's using the whole field like you usually see with Lindor when he's going well. But here is stance. You look at his stance, it's almost a mirror image of each other, the right-handed and the left-handed. You look, the open stance is about the same. He's got about the same weight transfer. His hands are in a similar position. His eyes are faced towards the mound. It's almost identical, and I think because of that, he's had more consistency now from the left side, similar to the way he did on the right. I think as a switch hitter, it has certain challenges. You're not going to get enough swings from either side or the other, but it looks like from the left side, it's been a more conscious effort to be similar to the right, and I think he's seeing that success.
I would agree with you on that. He's looked really good from the left side so far this season, and he's got Fangraphs. According to Fangraphs, he's fifth in all of baseball in wins above replacement. He's had an incredible year. More to come here on our pregame broadcast. Mets Hall of Famer Mike Piazza in town today, going to hear from the greatest power-hitting catcher in the history of the game when Jim and I come right back.
The last of summer will draw you in at Toyota's National Sales Event.
See it.
He struck it out. It's out of here.
Feel it.
I can't wait for this game to start.
He took a home run away.
Live it.
That is as good as it gets.
The big plays.
The beauty of sports is when the hero comes through.
Yeah, the tense moments.
We have an update we must show you.
He's done it again.
With live look-ins, highlights, and breakdowns.
That might be what it takes to win.
MLB Tonight on MLB Network.
It's like got him, it stays fair.
Piazza hit that dramatic eighth-inning go-ahead home run back on September the 21st, 2001 against the Braves, the first sporting event back here in New York City following the 9/11 attacks. Here was Mike on visiting the firehouse.
I'm so proud of our organization, the fact that we continue to honor those. As I said, the ones that were in 9/11, but also the families, which are still healing to this day. So it's something like that, obviously, is you never really get over. But I think the fact that we try to call light to their memory and their bravery and their commitment and their courage is really important. So you don't have to be a major leaguer or an ex-major leaguer. You can just be someone in the neighborhood. So it's important to know these guys, that we reach out to them and tell them how much we appreciate what they do for us.
It is time right now for us to go down on the farm. We get a look at Brett Beatty's splits between AAA and the majors this year. Beatty, he's hit over 100 points higher for Syracuse. He's hitting 277 since he was optioned back to AAA on August the 10th. And so it leads us to this question, Jim, when they expand the rosters just by a couple here in September. What do you think the Mets should do when it comes to Brett Beatty?
Well, listen, there's room for a pitcher usually and a position player, and I think he should be one of those that comes up. The reason why you sent him down there for a reason was to go down there and improve his overall game. First, on the offensive side, you're looking for him to hit the ball the other way. You're looking for him to pull the ball. Just some of the things, hit the ball in the air a little bit more, which he wasn't doing here at the end of his stint before he got sent out. He's starting to do that, it looks like. You're only going to be able to face 95 miles an hour or better in the major leagues. There's no more learning curve down in AAA for the rest of this year. Nothing else more. So as long as his defense is up to par, and I think that's the other area that he can't ignore. The defense is there. I think you got to bring him up, and I would play him. Maybe not every single day, but I would definitely play him.
All right, 20 seconds here. Ronnie Mauricio, yes or no? Is he coming up?
I mean, it's one or the other. So if it's not Beatty, it has to be Mauricio. So, I don't think you're going to bring up both position players. I think it's one or the other. So, I would bring up Beatty over Mauricio.
I think it's going to be very interesting here as they go down over the next few days. Let's get a check right now of your heads up. The Angels starting pitcher tonight, Patrick Sandoval. He has pitched to a sub-3 ERA over his last 7 starts. Brandon Nimmo, the 3rd most hits in the National League this season against lefties. And the Angels defense, it has not been very good this year. One of the many reasons they are not going to be heading to the postseason. And my friends, this has been Spectrum One Mets pregame here on Pix 11. We're back on the postgame show over on SNY when the game is over. But coming up following a break, Mets and the Angels. Gary and Roddy in the booth and on the call. Kodai, Senga on the mound. Enjoy it here on Pix 11.
When we found enlightenment.
This is Mookie Betts. This is Christopher Russo. And this is the High Heat Hot Seat. Mookie Betts plays hard, so he doesn't end up here. High Heat with Christopher Russo, helping players play harder on MLB Network. Imagine an entire channel dedicated to taking you to the most exciting moments in baseball as they happen.
And it's gone!
With live look-ins to clutch at-bats.
A walk-off slam!
And players on the edge of making history.
This could be it! 62!
It's the best seat in the house at every ballpark. All commercial-free.
Can you believe it?
MLB Network Strike Zone. Wednesdays and Fridays, all season long.
The power of baseball goes beyond the field.
What an exciting time.
Stand up,
We are Jackie Robinson.
Together. Together. Together.
Together.
At Citi Field in New York, welcome to this presentation of New York Mets baseball on Pix 11 tonight. The Mets play the Los Angeles Angels. New York Mets baseball on Pix 11 is brought to you by ShopRite, helping you get it together. By Cambridge Paving Stones with Armor Tech, your outdoor dreams come true. By Goldie Nutrition Gummy Vitamins, taste your goals. And by Coors Light. Well, over the last 3 years, he's been the greatest two-way force the game has ever seen. And now Shohei Ohtani pays his first ever visit to Citi Field. Things have not been going so well for Ohtani lately. Well, the home runs have still been coming. He's got more of those than anybody in the majors, and triples and slugging percentage. Oh, and did you know he pitches also? Although not so much right now. Ohtani's pitching days are over for at least this season. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you tonight as the Mets open a 9-game homestand with the first of 3 against the Angels, and that means Shohei Ohtani is in town. And obviously the news this week about Ohtani has not been positive. He's got a partially torn or completely torn UCL. We're not quite sure which. He's already had Tommy John surgery once. He's not going to pitch anymore this year, but his bat is here and his impending free agency as well.
You know, Gary, when the season started and we saw the new schedule, these were the kind of series, if you were a fan, you were in love with this new schedule. You had a chance maybe to see Mike Trout, of course, the great Shohei Ohtani. I think he's the most unique and talented baseball player in the history of the game. What he has done already in his short career, you can see the numbers, but the 44 home runs, as you mentioned, 23 starts, ERA just a whisker over 3, tons of strikeouts. Never seen a player do that, and until they get the second opinion, they'll continue to wave that bat.
Won the MVP 2 years ago, second to Aaron Judge last year. He'll be a runaway winner for AL MVP honors this year, no matter when that season ends. Meanwhile, he'll go up against his former NPB foe, Kodai Senga. They faced each other in the Japanese Pacific League.
You know, Gary, to me, it only seems like yesterday we were detailing or chronicling his first start in Miami when he was very nervous and he came out and he pitched beautifully. Well, after that, he has become one of the best stories for this 2023 team. 10 wins already, 154 strikeouts, leads in a lot of the categories for rookie pitchers.
Ohtani's first time in Flushing. Mets and Angels. First of 3. All the action coming your way on SNY.
The power of baseball goes beyond the field.
What an exciting time.
Stand up,
Together.
I'ma do work, that's on me. I be young boy, but I keep it OG. No, you can't shine if you stay low key, that's on me.
Watch games and coverage all day, every day, your way on MLB Network.
Covering a full night of baseball is a team effort, and it all starts right here with Harold and Adnan on MLB Tonight's First Pitch.
Who's ready for baseball?
It's time for the first pitch.
We're about 25 minutes from game time. I'm so excited.
Our quick hitters right out of the gate. During the games, we take you to the games where you might see a lot.
Greg, we have a potential walk-off at Wrigley.
No way. What's going on?
Oh, they've got a runner at third and Nico Horner's up.
Here's a pitch.
Base hit. Nico rocks it up. Cubs win.
Cubs win. And after the games, we're all about instant highlights and player reactions.
Nico, congratulations. Your first career walk-off hit. How did that one feel?
Oh, man, it's as good as it gets. An amazing crowd here tonight. Wrigley Field is a very special place. We're feeling good right now, for sure.
And that's how this team covers every team. All in a night's work on MLB Tonight.
Long. By RPM Raceway, the ultimate race to home plate. And by Empire City Casino by MGM Resorts. College students, bring the Mets to school with you with MLB.tv. Receive a free subscription when you attend a game. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. Citi Field filling up on a Friday night. It's the Mets and the Angels. Senga against Ohtani. First pitch coming up.
The power of baseball goes beyond the field.
What an exciting time.
Stand up to
Together.
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 I'ma do what? That's on me. But I keep it OG. No, you can't shine me, stay low key. That's on me.
Watch games and coverage all day, every day, your way on MLB Network. This is Christopher Russo. This is Joey Votto. And this is the High Heat Hot Seat. Christopher Russo plays hard, so he doesn't end up here.
Must be nice to sit atop that Madison Avenue ivory tower, looking down on us with those luscious locks. You should be ashamed of yourself. You're a disgrace.
High Heat with Christopher Russo.
It took me the last 2 weeks prepping for this interview. I didn't realize how much I love you. You are the best.
On MLB Network.
I love that we get a shot of the Tribeca Firehouse on North Moore Street.
That's right.
As the exterior for Ghostbusters. Funny thing about Kodai Senga's last start, didn't throw a lot of ghost fork balls. His first 2 times through the lineup against the Cardinals, didn't need it.
Hi to all my friends at Walker's right across the street from the North Moore Firehouse. Here's Senga on the mound. You can see his this season 23 starts, the 10 wins, 154 punch-outs. What a year.
Shohei Ohtani gets set to bat second. He's the DH tonight, as he generally is. And the full Angels starting lineup is brought to you by Lincoln. Nolan Shotwell, the first player from the 2023 draft to make it to the big leagues. He's in all 6 games he's played into the big leagues. Logan O'Hoppe is from West Islip, St. John the Baptist High School, so he should have a big contingent here today. Hunter Renfroe, Mickey Moniak, Randall Grichuk, Mike Moustakas, Brandon Drury. You've seen them in National League uniforms. Drury had a really nice segment of a year on the bench for the Mets, and he's made himself a starter the last couple of years. It's Japanese Heritage Night, which the Mets planned around Ohtani's first ever visit to Citi Field, and the bonus is that you not only get Ohtani, but Senga as well.
That's right.
So big crowd gathered, lots of folks in their Ohtani gear. And there he is on deck, getting ready to hit second. After Nolan Shondwell leads off for the Angels. It's been a very disappointing year for the Angels. They're 5-16 in August after going for it at the trading deadline. Now Trout is back on the injured list after playing one game. And concerns about Ohtani as well. First pitch of the night from Senga to Shondwell, and he hits a ground ball right at the second baseman Mendick. One pitch for Senga, and he's got the first out. And now Ohtani. An enormous roar from the Angels fans, from the Japanese fans, but I think also from the Mets fans, who would not mind seeing Ohtani in orange and blue. And the first pitch outside for ball one. Ohtani had a good year last year, 875 OPS. This year he has just had a phenomenal year, 1069 OPS, easily leading the major leagues. And fastball taken high.
If you haven't seen him hit, great discipline within the strike zone, a cultural phenomenon. He can hit balls where no one ever hits them.
He's a big guy, 6'4", 215, and that fastball just missed, and it's 3-0. He leads the American League in home runs, on base percentage, slugging percentage, walks, extra base hits, triples. He is just a phenomenon, unlike the game has ever seen. And he takes a low ball 4. That's his 79th walk of the year. And Ohtani, who can also steal bases, did we mention that, is aboard with one out.
Well, the Mets defense brought to you by your local Tri-State GMC dealers. You can see Lindor and Alonso will play almost every day. Only the 11th start for Mendick, the 7th start for Arauz at third base. And in the outfield now, Jeff McNeil has played 24 games in right field, 14 in left field, and 84 at second base.
Here's Brandon Drury, the former Met, and he takes the first cutter down for ball one. Drury 2 years ago was a guy on the scrap heap whom the Mets picked up, and he had a really nice stretch off the bench for the Mets, and he parlayed that into a big year last year playing for Cincinnati and San Diego. Hit 28 home runs, even won a Silver Slugger. And now in his first year with the Angels.
They didn't always give a Silver Slugger to the utility player, did they?
That was the first time last year. Gold
great.
Glove and Silver Sluggers given out to utility men. Shohei Ohtani has 17 steals. He's been caught 5 times. Great speed in addition to all his other attributes. And there's a good cutter by Senga to get ahead on Drury, 1-2.
You know, Senga's always a mystery. Every start, we're not sure which way he's going to approach facing the hitters. His last start against the Cardinals, lots of fastballs early.
And he throws the fork ball and gets the strikeout. First fork ball of the night, and it gets him a K.
Well, the grip first really has those fingers as wide as anyone I've ever seen to throw that pitch. That's why it breaks so much. 58.6% whiff rate on this pitch. That's the nastiest pitch in baseball.
So 2 out, a runner at first. Now Mike Moustakas started the year in Colorado. Now in his 13th big league season, and he goes up there and hacks at a cutter and misses, nothing in 1. Moustakas' last big year came in 2019 with Milwaukee. He had 35 home runs that year. He's been bouncing around ever since. Of course, he was a part of that 2015 Royals team that beat the Mets in the World Series.
Well, he's had some injuries the last couple of years that have kept him from getting on the field every day, and that's what he did in his heyday with Kansas City.
He is subbing at third base for a guy who's not been able to get on the field for 3 years. Anthony Rendon. And a chopper hit to the left side. In to get it is Arauz, and he guns down Moustakas to end the inning. A walk and 1 left. Mets come to bat with no score.
Create amazing work with Fiverr. All you need is your team and a talented freelancer who will lend a hand and seamlessly join your team from just about anywhere. Expand your team with a Fiverr freelancer.
With the Game Time app, I paid 60% less than this guy. What? And it's not just sports tickets. It's also concerts. Performances, too!
Oh, come on!
Download Game Time. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Welcome to the Aura Sleep Lab. You need a bit more deep sleep. Getting enough high-quality sleep increases immunity. Why? Because sleep helps fend off sickness. A good night's sleep boosts your number of infection-fighting antibodies and cells. And with your Aura Ring, you can learn how to sleep deep and keep your immunity up. It's like having a sleep lab on your finger. Go to sleep with auraring.com.
If we weren't proud of the craftsmanship and level of detail that go into every pair of Warby Parker glasses, well, we probably wouldn't show you how they're made, including this part, which is our favorite. Wow. And this is also great. Each pair comes standard with lenses that are scratch-resistant, anti-reflective, and UV protective. Try 5 pairs for free at warbyparker.com.
Longest hitting streak for a Met this year, a 10-game hitting streak. Jeff McNeil's been swinging the bat well. Brandon Nimmo. Mets got shut out in their last game by the Braves on Wednesday. Charlie Morton pitched to Jim. It's the lefty Patrick Sandoval to face the Mets for the second time in his career.
Gary, you see those numbers. That's kind of been his career. His career numbers are 16 and 34 with a 3.80. Hard luck pitcher. Last 7 games, though, his ERA is under 3.
Always walks a lot of guys, so the Mets will be patient with him. Gets his first sinker in for a strike to Nimmo. Brandon hitless in his last 8 at bats. Nonetheless, over the last 12 games, has an OPS of 1,040. That's how well he's been going. Sandoval misses low and away, 1-1. Patrick Sandoval grew up in the shadow of Angels Stadium, Mission Viejo, California. Big Angels fan growing up. Wasn't drafted by them, though. He was drafted by the Astros and came to the Angels in a trade for Martin Maldonado.
The machete. Sandoval is interesting. He kind of reminds me of a Rodon-like, the pitcher for the New York Yankees. He is a max effort guy on every pitch. Good changeup.
And the changeup is popped up into shallow center field, and the second baseman Drury is there to grab it, 1 out.
Angels defense brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture. They've made 77 errors and have 65 unearned runs. We'll hop you behind the plate. Moustakas, Rengifo, and in the outfield, 3 #1 picks. Not for this organization, but Grichuk, Moniak, and Renfroe. Moniak was number 1 for the Phillies.
Well, there's Mike Trout, who was activated from the injured list. Played 1 game on Tuesday. He's coming back from a broken hamate bone. The hand was sore, couldn't play on Wednesday, and they put him on the injured list today.
Well, teams have tough news weeks. No tougher than the Angels have had this week.
Trout says he does intend to play before the end of the year. Lindor takes a strike, and it's 0-2. Mike Trout, 1 postseason appearance, no postseason wins through an incredible career, which will land him in the Hall of Fame. But who knows if he'll ever get a chance to win a championship. Lindor strikes out for the second out.
Well, he began his career in the first 5 years playing every single day. That's that good change up here to Lindor. But since 2019, he hasn't been out there more than 140 games. It's been a struggle for Mike Trout.
He's been on the field more than Anthony Rendon. Yeah. Rendon hasn't played more than 58 games in any season since he signed that huge deal with the Angels. Here's McNeil. When the Mets faced Sandoval in Anaheim last year, McNeil went 3 for 3 against him. Jeff had a 7-game hitting streak stopped on Wednesday. Here's Eduardo Escobar. It was great to see his smiling face when I walked in the ballpark today.
Had a video tribute for him before the ball game.
He was beloved by everybody in this organization. Got to pitch the other day.
I was just thinking, we never get to see the video tribute because they play it right when we start our open.
We need to get the parameters. Who gets the video tributes?
Wow.
This is Eduardo acknowledging the cheers of the fans after his tribute video was shown.
He was beloved by his teammates. Escobar was a good soldier.
I mean, we didn't get the Brandon Drury tribute video, did we?
No, we did not.
So, okay, so it's somewhere north of Drury and south of Escobar, that line somewhere.
The Bermuda Triangle?
No. I just don't know how to parse these things.
I mean, I'm sure there's a committee or something.
I'm not on that committee. I can only speak for the committee that I'm on. It's the 1-2 coming, and McNeil pops one foul. By the way,
in fact, you guys were a little busy this week with some news.
Well, that's right. I mean, congratulations to Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry with the announcement that their numbers are going to be retired next year. It's going to get crowded up there. Keith maybe have to move over a little bit. 1-2 coming, and that's downstairs, 2-2.
Well, I saw our good friend Lee Mazzilli before the game, and he was very happy that his number was going to be retired as well.
One of his numbers, anyway.
Yeah.
Seventh pitch of the at bat, and Sandoval misses down with the sinker, and it's 3-2. Sandoval, very much like the Mets' Jose Quintana, very hard to hit a home run against. Over the last 2 seasons, they are 1-2 in the major leagues in lowest home runs per 9. Sandoval's given up only 9 home runs in 117 innings this year. Quintana's only given up 1 home run in over 100 innings going back to last year. 3-2 coming to McNeil, and he hits one on the ground. Drury to his right, picks it on the backhand and throws it out, side retired. 1-2-3 for Sandoval. After 1, no score.
Why pay over $100 a month for cable when it's half the cost for Fubo TV? Get all the channels you want on the only live TV streaming service rated #1 in customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Try free at FuboTV.com.
When the details take precedence, the rest falls perfectly into place. We strip away everything but the essential. And what we're left with are thoughtful bedrooms for modern living. Thuma.
Sure, you'll teach her to drive a car. Then use Greenlight and teach her to save up for her own car. Mowing lawns and getting paid. Navigate the world of earning, saving, and investing together. Invest in your best investment. Greenlight.
We love going to games, but good seats get pricey. So we use Game Time. Game Time checks ticket prices in real time and finds you all the best last-minute deals. We got our seats 20 minutes ago for 60% off. Last-minute tickets at the best price in seconds. Download Game Time now.
With Home Chef, you're home free when you're craving a home-cooked meal. Our oven-ready meal kits are easy to make and even easier to love. When it comes to making dinner, fill in the blanks with Home Chef. Delicious, meet simple.
Get 18 free meals when you sign up at homechef.com.
Dr. K, 154 strikeouts for Kodai Senga. See what his numbers are per every 9 innings. Strawberry Fields forever. 46 opposite field hits to go with 18 home runs, some of them over that Strawberry Fields. And let's go, Mets go. It was the I Want My MTV generation.
Luis Rengifo leads off in the second. Rengifo, jack of all trades for the Angels. Filling in at shortstop. They brought up one of the first players from last year's draft, Zach Neto, and he played really well till he got hurt. They've had tons of injuries. And Rengifo, switch hitter, fouls it off 1-1. So we mentioned Escobar's homecoming. The big homecoming in baseball tonight is at Fenway, where Mookie Betts is playing for the first time since the Red Sox traded him to the Dodgers. And he got an enormous ovation. And then Alex Verdugo hit a home run, one of the guys he was traded for.
Wow. I mean, 3 guys were traded for Mookie Betts. We'll have time to talk about this because another PitchCom.
Every time we're home, it doesn't seem to be a problem on the road, but I guess the Chargers don't work quite as well here. Maybe it's in the wiring.
That's right. Oh, don't get the electrical union on us. What's interesting is that for that trade, Alex Verdugo has been the biggest part of that trade. Connor Wong is playing pretty well at catcher. And
not so well as pitcher.
Not as well as pitcher. And Jeter Downs is no longer with the organization.
He just got recalled by the Nats after that horrible injury to Stone Garrett. Did you see that?
I did.
Reminded me because he broke his upper leg. Remember when Nick Johnson got hurt at Shea?
That's right. He was going backwards on a pop-up and collided with an outfielder, right?
Same team, same injury. All right, PitchCom all straightened out. It's 1-1 to Rengifo. Logan O'Hoppe on deck, and then Hunter Renfroe for the Angels in the second. And the split misses low and away, and it's 2-1. So let me ask you this. The Angels are now known as the Los Angeles Angels.
Yes. I
have a problem calling them the Los Angeles Angels.
It doesn't roll off the tongue, certainly.
Well, geographically as much as phonetically. I mean, they play 40 miles south of Los Angeles. And people say, well, you know, they call them the New York Jets and Giants, but that's only 6 miles away.
Yeah. I mean, they're in Orange County, which is
most decidedly not Los Angeles.
That's right.
For a while, they started out as the Los Angeles Angels because they started playing at Wrigley Field in Los Angeles, which was actually in Los Angeles.
And it wasn't in the day they had the Pacific Coast League where they had the San Francisco Seals, and Los Angeles Angels had a team as well.
Lindor, the tough eye, handcuffs him, and he's safe at first. That ball took a strange hop on Lindor, and it got caught between his wrists, it looked like. And Rengifo is able to beat it out.
You know, Gary, that ball came off the bat funny, so it had some funny spin on it. And he just trapped it against his body, his leg. And before he could come up with it, Rengifo, who runs well, beats it out.
I'm going to score that a base hit for Rengifo. That's always a hard one for the scorer, because was it the bobble that caused it, or was it the slowness of releasing it? Because on the bobble you can charge an error, but you can't charge an error for slow play. Anyway, so they moved to Anaheim, and they became the California Angels,
right,
representing the entire state from Orange County. And then when Artie Moreno bought the club, he wanted to get Los Angeles back into their name.
I think for marketing, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So they called them the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. That's line to left, a base hit in front of Lo Castro. And Logan O'Hoppe from West Islip has a base hit in his first at bat at Citi Field.
Well, he got off to a quick start for this ball club before he got hurt. And this is a fastball down, I think, or bats ghost. And boy, he was all over it.
O'Hoppe, the guy they got from the Phillies in the Brandon Marsh deal last year. He was out with a shoulder injury for 4 months this year.
This is how it works for me with the Angels. You know how parents will go through the roster of their kids until they get to the right one?
Right.
I want to say Anaheim Angels,
right,
California Angels, before I get to Los Angeles Angels.
Because there was a while when they were the Anaheim Angels, before they were the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Right.
But now they've dropped any reference to Anaheim in their name, and they're only known as the Los Angeles Angels, which is back to the future. It's back to where they started. Hunter Renfroe batting with 2 aboard and nobody out. It's a good cutter by Senga, and it's 1-1.
When I think of the old-time Angels, it makes me think of Bobby Knopp and Bo Belinsky.
Bo Belinsky. Dean Chance.
There you go.
Jim Fregosi. When he could still, play. There's a good fork ball, and it's 1-2 to Renfroe. Renfroe had a good year for Milwaukee last year, 29 home runs. After a good year in Boston the year before that, he's bounced around a lot the last few years. Signed a one-year deal with the Angels. Not having quite the same year this year, hitting just 167 with runners in scoring position. And he got him upstairs with the fork ball, and Senga strikes out Renfroe for the first out, his second strikeout. Bobulinski, someday I'd like to go up in the stands and boost some fans.
Oh, wow.
Somebody wrote a book about Bobulinski a number of years ago. The title of the book, I forgot who wrote it, I apologize. The title of the book was Bo, Pitching and Wooing.
I think he might have did the second better.
Well, he went out with Mamie Van Doren, among others. I mean, he lived the Los Angeles part of Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim to the fullest.
He did not mind the 40 miles.
No. He traversed it in a candy apple red Cadillac, I believe. Mickey Moniak has had a breakout season for the Angels. Only got cups of coffee with the Phillies after they drafted him first overall, but it's found a home in Anaheim. And that went in the dirt. Blocked nicely by Alvarez, a ball to strike.
Wonder if being closer, as we're talking about geography, closer to his home. He's from Carlsbad, which is just north of San Diego, so closer to Anaheim.
He was a deadline addition last year. That was the trade that sent Noah Syndergaard from the Angels to the Phillies. And knee-high fastball for a strike, and it's 1-2. The Angels needed bodies this year. They have already used 60 players, which is the most in the majors this year. One-two coming, and he got him with a fork ball in the dirt. Well, these Angels seeing Senga for the first time, and they have not been able to lay off the fork ball out of the strike zone. Back-to-back strikeouts for Senga, 2 out.
The one he threw to Renfroe was not a good one, and Senga was not happy. This one bounced 10 feet before the plate. Well, maybe 5 feet. Exaggeration on my part. Nice block by Alvarez.
So 2 out and 2 on, and now Randall Grichuk hitting 9th in the order. Grichuk's had a rough go since joining the Angels in a deadline deal from Colorado. And he takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Grichuk's the only Angel in the lineup today who has faced Senga before. He faced him when he was with the Rockies earlier this season. So he's had 2 at-bats against Senga.
Grichuk had a good series against the Mets as well.
Randall Grichuk, originally was drafted by the Angels out of high school in 2009. Never played a game for them. He was traded to the Cardinals in the deal that sent David Freese to St. Louis. Wow. And in his first game for the Angels, 14 years after they drafted him, he hit a home run. Nobody had ever done that before, that long after they were drafted in their debut for the team that drafted and signed them. And Senga having problems again hearing the signs in the pitch count. That will count as a disengagement. 0-2 coming to Grichuk. And he yanks that forkball foul, staying the at bat. See Grichuk's numbers against the Mets from his time with the Cardinals and with the Rockies. He's now 32 years old. He's hit just a .150 in 22 games with the Angels. Rengifo at second. O'Hoppe at first with 2 out. And that fastball misses away at 97. 1-2.
Saw Alvarez really try to frame that pitch that was 4 or 5 inches off the outside corner. Didn't get Rehack, home plate umpire, to bite.
2 straight hits to start the inning, followed by 2 strikeouts for Senga. And it just missed below the strike zone. Senga freezing, hoping to get a call.
He had him set up if he just had been able to deliver or execute the pitch.
Two out, 2 on, 2 and 2 to Grichuk. And a broken back grinder down to third. Aru is going to have to make the throw to first in time, and that retires the side. 2 hits, 2 left. No score at Citi Field.
You want highlights? Quick Pitch has you covered.
I'd say this calls for celebration.
Packing all today's biggest plays into one lightning-fast hour.
Oh my goodness! What a play!
Every game. Every night.
Swing and a miss!
Every highlight that makes the headlines.
Are you kidding me?
We live today, preview tomorrow.
This race in the NL Central is getting good.
On Quick Pitch. Late nights and early mornings, only on MLB Network. The next generation of baseball has arrived.
And I am here for it.
Keep an eye on the new faces of baseball on Off Base, the modern baseball show for the modern baseball fan.
It's all about things you haven't seen before.
Only on MLB Network.
Covering a full night of baseball is a team effort. From the first pitch,
Let's go to the ballpark.
to live look-ins and post-game reactions.
Tell us how this one feels.
That's how this team covers every team on MLB Tonight.
It's like that.
Got him, it stays fair.
Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Everybody get down when we give it to you. It's like that.
The ultimate driving machine. It has been reported that Steven Strasburg will announce his retirement next month. He's pitched in only 8 games since being named the MVP of the 2019 World Series. Never able to recover from thoracic outlet surgery. Oh, shame.
Yeah.
I mean, a career much like Matt Harvey's that had great highs and some real lows.
If you were a baseball fan in 2014, when he made his debut against Pittsburgh Pirates, it was in the afternoon. Everyone was riveted to that game when he struck out 14 bucks that afternoon.
Yep. Pete Alonso leading off the home second. He dribbles one foul on the changeup from Sandoval. Well, he was a phenomenal postseason pitcher in that 2019 run for the Nationals. First pitcher ever to go 5-0 in a single postseason. Sandoval runs the fastball inside 2-2. Pete's got 9 home runs in August, went hitless in his last 7 at-bats in Atlanta. Looking for number 40, trying to get there for the 3rd time in his career. And Sandoval misses with the changeup, and it's 3-2. That's a tough pitch to take.
It really is. You don't see that changeup from the lefty down and into a righty very often.
Last year when the Mets faced Sandoval in Anaheim, he gave up 2 runs in 6 innings. The only guy to take him deep was J.D. Davis. He lost that game 4-1 to Taijuan Walker in the Mets. The only game the Mets won in that series. 3-2 coming to Alonso. And the changeup misses down ball 4. That was a close pitch that Jeremy Rehak would not ring up, and the Mets have their first base runner of the night. Phil Nevin, the manager of the Angels. Boy, how much bad news does he have to deliver this? The best news that he was able to come up with today was that they don't believe that Ohtani can hurt his elbow any further by continuing to hit.
Doesn't sound very scientific, but I think if you hit right-handed, you'd have no chance, Gary, if you just think of the motion and the locking of the right arm. Kind of a backhanded motion with the right arm for the hitting. But
well, the thing that I would ask as a layman, as Francisco Alvarez stands in, trying to fight out of a long slump, and he takes low and in 2-0, is that if they don't know yet the severity of the tear, right? If it's a full tear, it's a full tear.
Yes.
But if it's not a full tear, you'd have to think there's at least the possibility that the violent act of a swing can exacerbate a partial tear. No?
100%. I mean, that would be my first thought. But since he is the most unique player in the history of the game, he is the one guy that has to be shut down from one part of the game that still has the game left.
Well, there's so much conversation around this right now relating to his ability to hit, whether he's going to have a second Tommy John surgery, if not, how that affects his usage next year, and how all of that ties in with his free agency.
Yeah.
2-1 to Alvarez. And there's a good changeup by Sandoval up in the zone. It's 2-2. The thing that crosses my mind about it is this. You don't know how he would come back from a second Tommy John surgery in terms of being able to pitch and whether he'd be able to hit while he rehabbed from Tommy John. But at least there's some track record of pitchers coming back from a second Tommy John. So that would give whoever wanted to sign him in the offseason, I would think, at least knowledge of what to expect.
Some dates on the calendar to when to expect him back.
As opposed to if he doesn't have Tommy John surgery and tries to use some alternate therapy or something less than Tommy John surgery, then you're more up in the air.
Yeah, Tanaka did that with the Yankees, of course.
Well, Seth Lugo pitched for years.
Seth Lugo. Yeah. But this is not without precedent. Once he found out he was going to have surgery, Tommy John, in September of 18, he continued to hit and hit 7 home runs down the stretch.
Right, but he didn't pitch in 19, and he only made 2 outings in 20.
Yeah.
But then the last 3 years, he's come back and been the best player on the planet. Ball 4 to Alvarez, so back-to-back walks issued by Sandoval, and the Mets have the first 2 men on. So it's all very complicated, and I would think from the perspective of whether it's the Angels or any other team that is going to be in the market for Ohtani's services this winter, I think the decisions that get made in the next few weeks, and Phil Nevin and Perry Massey and the general manager talked today about how they still are waiting for a second opinion, and they'll see where it goes from there.
The strangest part of all of this injury might have opened the window for his return to the Angels.
Maybe. I mean, if that's a possibility. It certainly might have lowered the price somewhat, although the price is still going to be exorbitantly high. Here's DJ Stewart earning a start against a lefty because he's been so hot. He's only had 1 hit against a lefty, and that was a home run. 1 for 10, and he's up there to bunt. You've seen this. He had a safety squeeze in the game in St. Louis on the last road trip. But DJ's got an OPS of 922 through his first 69 at bats, so he has earned more and more playing time. Showed bunt on the first pitch, and he's bunting again, and that time misses it, and it's 1-1.
He's Buck with the signs to Joey Cora. He will relate them to DJ Stewart. After that attempt, lefty to bunt, didn't look very good to me. I would let him swing the bat.
Shonwell and Moustakas at the corners are both in, looking for the bunt now. Shows bunt, lays off, it's a strike, and now it's 1-2. And leaves DJ shaking his head. So now Shonwell's going to back up at first. Moustakas backing up as well at third. Figure he's not going to bunt with 2 strikes. Alonso at second, Alvarez at first, and nobody out. And the slider all off the plate, and it's 2-2. Danny Mendick is hitting 7th in the order on deck. Fascinating, the Mets have two guys in the lineup tonight who are 1 for 10 this year against lefties, with their only hit being a home run. Stewart and Tim LeCastro. And a high fastball gets Stewart swinging for the first out of the inning. Second strikeout for Sandoval.
Well, after the failed bunt attempts, only left himself with one strike to try to put the ball in play. Good fastball from Sandoval up in the strike zone. This young lefty has outstanding stuff. He has not found that consistency that you need to turn the corner, but he's got all the physical gifts.
Seemed like he was there last year. Last year he pitched to a 2.91 ERA. His walk rate was still high, but his run prevention was better than this year. And Mendick takes a strike. Mendick 10 for 55 with the Mets, hitting 182. There's his lifetime record. The ERA belies the one-loss record. Not a high strikeout guy, and that's so his peripherals are not pretty. High walks, not particularly high strikeouts. And that fastball's in for a strike on 0-2. But the low home run rate makes that look a little bit better. But you mentioned it earlier about the Angels and the unearned runs. Sandoval has been tagged with 13 unearned runs. That's more than any pitcher in the major leagues this year.
13 and 4 in his last start
against Tampa Bay. So part of it's on him, part of it's on his defense, which is not very good.
Lots of walks means the fielders are out there a little longer as well. That can lead to some indifferent play.
1-2 to Mendick. Arauz on deck. And Mendick takes the changeup down. And it's 2-2. Boy, he throws a lot of changeups. Patrick Sandoval, born and raised in Mission Viejo, but played for Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. And a swing and a miss. He gets Mendick on the fastball away. So just as Senga did in the top of the inning, after the first two men get on, he struck out the next two.
High fastball to DJ Stewart, and this one a well-placed fastball running away on the outside corner to Mendick. Sandoval pitched for that Mexico team. His manager, their infield coach for the Angels, Benji Gill.
So 2 out and 2 on now Arauz, who's just 1 for 12 as a right-hand batter. Alonso and Alvarez walk to start the inning. Now back-to-back strikeouts, so no fair balls yet through the first 22 pitches of the inning. And a back foot curveball misses. Ball 1. Arauz has played some really nice defense, and he's hit a couple of home runs, but he's got just 5 hits in 46 at-bats. Making his 15th start tonight. He's especially looked good at third base, a position he really hasn't played very much in his career. Speaking of third base, Mark Vientos, who's coming back from a little wrist problem, is playing a rehab game for Syracuse tonight, so he should be back shortly. And a swing and a miss, 1-2. You know, used to be on September 1st the rosters would expand from 25 to 40. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's 26 to 28. So you only get 2 spots, one of which probably will go to a pitcher. And so the Mets going to have to figure out, you bring Vientos back, you bring Beatty back, you bring Mauricio up. 1-2 coming. And a swing and a miss. Sandoval strikes out 3 in a row after walking the first 2 batters of the inning. Mets strand a couple. No score after 2.
Sunday, on the next episode of MLB's Carded, join Greg Amsinger for a look at all things cardboard, from vintage to modern. We've got it covered. MLB's Carded, Sunday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern on MLB Network.
rated E for everyone.
Series Monday and Tuesday nights at 7:10, and note a special start time 6:40 p.m. on Wednesday night. To purchase tickets, go to Mets.com/tickets. By the way, Max Scherzer is scheduled to pitch tomorrow in Minnesota, so it is not likely the Mets will face Scherzer in that series.
Okay.
Top of the batting order, Nolan Schanuel will lead off for the Angels. Schanuel grounded out to second base his first time up. Takes cutter inside from Senga for ball one. Kodai Senga pitching to Schanuel. Shohei Ohtani on deck for his second at bat. And we check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Well, Gary, with Ohtani and Senga going against each other, the number of Japanese media in attendance is exorbitant tonight. The Mets said that they credentialed upwards of 50 members of the Japanese media. And just to put that in perspective, on any given normal Senga start, I would estimate there's about 5 to 7 members of the Japanese media in the clubhouse after the game talking to Senga. So, I mean, you're looking at almost 10 times the amount of media here tonight to watch these two go against each other. And obviously, they're broadcasting it live in Japan tonight and tomorrow on NHK.
And I think that many of them would have been here anyway, but because of the intrigue right now about Ohtani's injury, I think that has brought even more media here, not just Japanese media, but American media as well. And there were some of the media members on the field before the game. And Schanuel takes low and in, 2-2. Nolan Schanuel had 21 games, 73 at bats in the minor leagues before they called him up. 23 years old. And he gets drilled by Senga. It's only the fifth batter Senga's hit this year. Comes leading off the third right in front of Ohtani.
I mean, people coming to their feet again. Sign Ohtani. Interesting.
Well, we heard it at the All-Star game in Seattle. We saw signs in Texas designed to try to encourage Ohtani to sign there. These two faced each other in Japan. Senga and Ohtani were both in the Japanese Pacific League from 2013 to 2017. Ohtani with the Nippon Ham Fighters and Senga with the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks. And Ohtani went 5 for 22 with 2 home runs against Senga, so they battled on pretty even terms. Power Report brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. Since the start of 21, no greater force in baseball. I mean, I think it can fairly be said, if it hadn't been for Aaron Judge's historic season last year, Ohtani would be heading for a third straight MVP.
Two different paths, though, to the Japanese major leagues by these two great athletes.
Senga ahead in the count 1-2. And that's rocketed to right field. It's going to go over the head of McNeil and go to the wall. Digging for third is Sandoval. And Ohtani steps into second base with a bullet double. McNeil did everything he could, but there's just no way that he was going to be able to get to that ball as hard as it was hit.
This ball had so much topspin that it just confused McNeil. He didn't know whether to go back and try to make a play. Completely off his feet when he made contact with that and just out of the grasp of Jeff.
Came a lot closer to it than I expected. 115 miles an hour off the bat. The 74th extra base hit this year for Shohei Ohtani. So the Angels poised with second and third and nobody out. Infield back with the exception of Alonso, who's at the edge of the grass at first for Brandon Drury. And fastball misses up and in for ball one.
Yeah, Senga's got 2 scoreless innings, but he's a little off tonight with his control and the ghost fork.
Drury struck out his first time up. And Drury flies one out to right center. Over in the gap goes McNeil. Tagging is Sandoval. The throw's going to go to third. Ohtani arrives safely. So it's a sacrifice fly for Drury to bring in the game's first run. Ohtani advances as well. 1-0 Angels.
He's got a unique batting stance, and watch the follow through. Just holds it like he's waiting to someone to take a picture. We see so many abbreviated follow throughs in today's game. His just the opposite.
And let's face it, many aren't taking pictures.
That's right.
Infield in now for Mike Moustakas with Ohtani at third and 1 out. And Moustakas bangs one into center field for a base hit, and that'll bring in Ohtani with the second run of the inning. So some hard hit balls against Senga here in the third. Moustakas with his 44th RBI to make it 2-0 Angels.
Well, if you don't want to face the ghost, attack Senga early. And he didn't let this fastball pass, and a bullet to center field by the Moose. Center cut here for Moustakas, and he didn't miss it.
So now Luis Rengifo, who had an infield hit his first time up, and he fouls back the cutter. Shohei Ohtani, 98th run scored. Did we mention that leads the American League too? It's only his 23rd double. Doesn't lead the league in that.
He's got a few triples though.
He does. He has 7, tied for the major league lead.
He doesn't have that many doubles because when he hits the ball hard, it's out of the ballpark. That one had topspin. That's the only reason it stayed in.
Rengifo hits one out to left center. Over in the gap goes Locastro. And that's the second out. Tagging at first Moustakas, but he won't move. To your point about Ohtani, 44 homers, 7 triples, 17 steals. The only other players who've ever reached all 3 of those marks in the same season, forget about the pitching part.
Yes.
Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Willie Mays twice, and now Ohtani twice.
And it's August 25th.
Exactly. There's Logan O'Hoppe, who had a base hit his first time up. O'Hoppe just 23 years old. It's a 23rd round pick, but signed out of high school with the Phillies. And a handful of games with the Angels last year, and missed significant time this year because of a shoulder issue that required surgery. So he's only had 71 at bats, but now he's got a base hit in his home ballpark.
West Islip, a South Shore town, Gary?
Yes. Oh, 2 from Senga. And a half swing. He went around to the forkball for strike 3. Fourth strikeout for Senga, but the Angels get a couple. Led by Ohtani's double. 2-0 Angels in the third.
MLB Tonight, the ultimate late-night baseball party. See the night's biggest moments. What? The best interviews.
We all love DJ Dan.
And cutting-edge analysis from TV's best.
This one takes the cake.
That is awesome.
MLB Tonight, late nights on MLB Network. If you love baseball, you need to watch baseball's show of record, MLB Tonight.
We've got a bunch of games kicking off.
Who gets you ready to start the evening? These guys.
With Harold Reynolds, I'm Adnan Burke. Good to have you with us.
Join Harold and Adnan for a first look at the night's matchups.
Shohei Ohtani. We're going to talk about this guy forever.
First take from the players.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
And the first of many breakdowns.
Let's put this in perspective.
Then, as your game night continues, stay tuned for the ultimate late-night baseball party. With live look-ins to the night's biggest moments.
MLB Tonight takes you live inside the park.
The best interviews.
I've never asked a player, you need a blanket? It is kind of cold out there.
And cutting-edge analysis from TV's best former players fresh off the field.
Get your hands up.
There's nothing quite like MLB Tonight.
That is awesome.
This one takes the cake.
This is going to be a big deal tonight.
Exactly. You can't top that.
MLB Tonight, every night on MLB Network.
Has showed us he loves to have that right knee down. But Ohapi on the left, that's more from the Mike Matheny school, older school of getting as wide as he can get so he can go either way. You can push off on the opposite foot. So if you want to go to his right, push off on that left foot. But being that wide, I think, kind of restricts you getting on the ground and getting in front. But very athletic position from Ohapi.
Tim LaCastro batting ninth in the order. Leads off in the third against Patrick Sandoval, who's been staked to a 2-0 lead. LaCastro making his sixth start after missing extensive time following thumb surgery. Just 3 hits and 18 at bats. But a .378 on base percentage. Why? 3 hit by pitches. That's pulled right to the third baseman Moustakas, who was playing in, and snags the liner, 1 out.
Well, he had to play in because of the threat of the steal, the bunt, and the speed of LaCastro, so he was just perfectly positioned.
Got double no-hitter watch for you.
Okay.
2 pitchers tonight are through 5. Framber Valdez for the Astros against Detroit, and Yoan Adon for the Nationals against Miami.
Framber going for his second no-hitter of the season.
And strike to Nimmo, who's now hitless in his last 9 at bats after popping up his first time up. Nats are up 3-0 in that game in the 6th. The Nationals won yesterday, beating the Yankees in the final game of their series to tie the Mets for 4th place. Mets have never been in sole possession of last place this year at the end of the day, trying to stave that off. Mets have been playing awfully well. Oh, 2 to Nimmo. And Brandon takes a cutter just outside. 1-2. NL East standings brought to you by Six Flags Great Adventure. Braves are out in San Francisco tonight to start a series. Phillies are home against the Cardinals. Fly ball left center field. And Grichuk is there to grab it. 2 out. Phillies are up 4-2 on the Cardinals in the 4th. In the wild card, the Phillies are in the top spot. The Cubs are now in the 2nd spot. And Arizona, with their 5th straight win last night, beating Cincinnati, moved into the 3rd hole. Changes every day.
Well, Arizona, you got to be proud of them. What they went through to start the second half, and now to rebound a little bit is Nice to see.
They beat the Reds last night on a Corbin Carroll home run in the 8th after one of the worst displays of base running we've seen all season. They were able to overcome that. And they also got a great start from Merrill Kelly, who's one of their 2 really top-notch starters, but he came out of the game with a hamstring injury, and so that's certainly something to keep your eye on. He and Zach Gallen have really carried the load for that rotation.
Well, they're trying to break in 3 young starters with those 2 veterans.
Lindor struck out his first time up. Started the night with a 10-game hitting streak. And he drives that one right down the line, headed toward the pole, and it's out of here. A bullet home run just inside the foul pole for Francisco Lindor, number 24 on the year, to get the Mets on the board. That cuts the Angels' lead to 2-1. Lindor, 11 straight games with a hit, this one with authority.
Yeah, changeup turned over by Sandoval, and Lindor was all over it. How do you keep it fair? Just hit it so hard that it doesn't have a chance to go foul, and wraps around the foul pole. Francisco Lindor in the last 23 games before tonight has raised his average 24 points, a point a day.
It's hard to do this time of year.
Yeah.
The Mets had homered in 9 straight games before Wednesday when they got shut out in Atlanta. Now they start a new streak today.
Yeah, 11 home runs now in their last 22 games. Stay fair. And this is a guy who doesn't give up a lot of home runs, so well done by Francisco.
10th home run Sandoval's allowed this year. (108 miles an hour off the bat from Lindor. That's lined down the right field line toward the corner. That's going to land for a base hit and go up against the wall. Renfroe plays the carom, and McNeil scoots into second base with a double. So after 2 out and nobody on, Lindor homers, and now McNeil follows with his 20th double of the year.
You know, McNeil hasn't been fooled by Sandoval. His first at-bat was a lengthy at-bat before he grounded out to second base, and here pulls those hands in to keep that ball fair.
Been doing a better job lately of handling that inside pitch that had plagued him all year long. That's why he's hitting .350 over his last 18 games. So now the tying run at second with 2 down for Alonso, who walked his first time up. And Pete takes change up for a strike, 0-1. Another change up off the plate, a ball and a strike. Robert Valdez now through 6, 91 pitches.
Ooh. It's the one guy that can go, you know, to the 115, 120 mark.
Well, the Astros are in need of wins. They're in a real pitch battle with Seattle and Texas in that AL West. Texas has lost 7 straight to bring everybody else back into it. Seattle and Houston each just a game behind now. And they're both tied for the 2nd and 3rd American League wildcard spots. Another changeup, and it's 2-2. Mets baseball is brought to you by the Rehab Doctor. For a free home improvement estimate, call 800-600-5400.
Well, the way that Sandoval is trying to be careful with Alonso is he's gone primarily with the changeup, not tempting him or challenging him with any fastballs. Let's see if he continues that.
2-2 coming to Alonso. And another change up. That's off the plate, and it's 3-2. Sandoval's throwing a steady diet of off-speed pitches. He's run his 4th full count already. He's already walked 2, struck out 4. And not allowed to hit until this inning when Lindor hit the home run and McNeil hit the double back-to-back. Now it's 3-2 to Alonso. And Pete takes outside ball 4, so he would not change the game plan. Kept going to the changeup, and he walks Alonso for the 2nd time.
Well, kudos to Pete to keep the line moving. Not going out of the strike zone to chase those last 2 pitches.
So Francisco Alvarez will get the chance with 2 out and 2 on. He walked his first time up. Over his last 26 games. So you're talking about a little over a month. Alvarez is 12 for 87. It's a 138 average. He's got 55 at bats since his last home run. August 1st in Kansas City. And he tries to hold the swing on the curveball, but he went around. It's 0-1. Look, Showalter said something interesting tonight. He said he's struggling, and he may struggle more, but ultimately this will be good for him. That in future years he'll be able to look back and see how he handled this slump.
Yeah, David Wright was in our booth. Remember, Gary? And he said until a young player struggles, you really don't know what kind of player you're going to become, how tough you are to get through it. Also, catching of this great number of games, this is his 82nd start, is going to put him in a good place because he's a guy that you want catching 110, 120 games.
It's down on the count 0-2. And he goes down swinging on the high fastball. So Sandoval gets out of further trouble with his 5th strikeout. Lindor's home run gets the Mets on the board. 2-1 Angels after 3.
With the Game Time app, I paid 60% less than this guy.
What?
And it's not just sports tickets. It's also concerts. Performances, too.
Oh, come on!
Download Game Time. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Prescription eyewear can be really expensive. But here's the secret. Glasses don't actually cost that much to make. Surprise! Especially when you design your own eyewear and then sell it directly to your customers. Like we do. Oh, hi. We're Warby Parker. Our glasses start at $95, including prescription lenses. And the best part? You could try 5 pairs for free at warbyparker.com.
ED is difficult for me and for my partner. Through HIMS, I can message a licensed provider about clinically proven ED treatments. Like the generic form of Viagra, which can cost 90% less than the brand name version. Then HIMS ships discreetly to my door for free. I never knew it could be this easy to get my confidence back. Now we can both count on a great experience every time. Start your free visit today at forhims.com.
Interesting with Senga this year. His breaking balls, his curveball, his slider have been not great weapons for him compared to the rest of the league, but his fastball has, and of course his forkball has been tremendous.
I think he spent a lot of time with his breaking ball in between, Gary, deciding whether he wanted to throw a slider, cutter, curveball, how to shape it.
Hunter Renfroe leads off in the 4th and takes the fastball high. Renfroe struck out his first time up, one of 4 strikeouts for Senga over the first 3 innings. Slider in for a strike, and it's 1-1. Well, the Angels were hoping when they made trades at the deadline to get guys like C.J. Cron and Randall Grichuk, Mike Moustakas, that they would be in a race. And it's gone just the other way for them. They're 5-16 in August since the trading deadline. And now they're basically out of it, 11.5 out in the West, and will be on wild card reach.
And in August, Gary, sorry. They've scored 74 runs. They've allowed 146.
And the thing about it is that, as it turned out, opportunity was there because the Rangers have gone on this losing streak now to bring those other teams back into the race. And Renfroe takes strike 3 call, fastball on the inside corner, and he goes away muttering at Jeremy Rehak. 5 strikeouts now for Senga.
Yeah, Texas has been in sole possession of first place for 111 days, and they risk not be tonight.
Well, their bullpen has really imploded, and you know, their starters were really good for most of the year, and they supplemented that by getting Scherzer. But it's really their offense that's carried them.
Yeah, and they've stopped hitting in this short period of time. So,
well, losing Josh Young was a big piece for them. You know, he was having a rookie of the year type season.
I mean, no one is better suited than Bruce Bochy to help that team get through this malaise. But I would have to say, if you are a fan or a player on the Texas Rangers team, you're in first place on August 25th. Remember that. That's quite an accomplishment.
It is, but it's also a team that really hasn't been there.
That's right.
Whereas you got the Astros, who are the defending World Series champions, and the Mariners, who had themselves an historic season last year and are on a hot streak right now, who are chasing it. Mickey Moniak struck out his first time, and he strikes out again on a high fastball, so Senga's fanned the last 3 hitters. So Kodai is kicking it into gear. 2 out and nobody on in the 4th.
Well, Moniak, because of that swing, has always been vulnerable to high velocity upstairs, a bit of an uppercut. He couldn't catch up to that one. So that's why you went out and got Bruce Bochy, hoping that that kind of manager can make a difference at the worst of times.
Here's Randall Grichuk, who grounded out his first time up. And he takes the fork ball for a strike. So Yohan Adon's no-hitter ended in the bottom of the 6th. I probably don't have to tell you who got the hit. Luis Arraez.
Oh, yeah, of course. My first thought was Jake Berger, because he's so hot.
Yeah. But he thought he did 355.
I know. Silly me.
0-2 to Grichuk. He tries the fork ball again. He couldn't get him to bite. 1-2. Grichuk fouls off a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, fastest pitch that Senga's thrown tonight. Another 1-2 pitch to Grichuk, and he laid off the forkball again. So after succumbing to the forkball on the first 2 pitches of the at-bat, Grichuk having a better at-bat as it goes along.
Yeah, Grichuk took a nice at-bat in the first.
Those are your ERA leaders. We mentioned the 2 aces for the Diamondbacks, Justin Steele, Blake Snell, the only people ahead of Kodai Senga in his rookie season. 2-2 coming. And that just missed. A slider there from Senga, and it's 3-2. I would say that he has improved his stock in the Rookie of the Year race, but then last night Corbin Carroll hits the big home run and boosts his stock even more. 3-2 coming. And he chops one down to third. Arau is on the charge, makes the running throw in time to get Gritchick. Side retired. First 1-2-3 inning of the night for Senga. 2-1 Angels in the fourth.
Why pay over $100 a month for cable when it's half the cost for Fubo TV? Get all the channels you want on the only live TV streaming service rated #1 in customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Try free at FuboTV.com.
I came from a low-income family that was struggling. You see how hard life can get. GC became a part of my life because I don't want my family to fall back into that. I never thought education would take me this far. I'm still young. I still have a lot to do in my life, and I just want to get things done the way I want with a good education. I'm Stacy, and Grand Canyon University helped me find my purpose.
Everything you've seen me do was made possible by what you don't see. Because when you're not looking, I go to work. Strength isn't a given. It's grown. It's earned and tested. We all have the strength to see what's possible. It's up to us to unlock it. Tonal, be your strongest.
Home runs was Walter Johnson in 1918. Johnson tied for the team lead with 1 home run in 123 games. Ohtani has a chance to do that for the second time this year. That was the dead ball era.
I would love to. Have you ever seen or touched the dead ball from that era?
No.
Like, I was thinking the Hall of Fame would be a cool place.
Do we have a pitch comm issue on the other side? We haven't seen this often. It's usually been the Mets who've had the pitch comm issues at Citi Field.
One ringy dingy.
Let's grab another one out of the holster. Send it out with the cavalry.
Hey, use mine, Moose says. Use mine. Oh, it's good now.
Why does the third baseman need a pitch comm? I mean, they haven't yet expanded it where every player gets one, right? I think it's 4 players plus the pitcher.
Sales, we could sell this time.
Oh, man. See, now you're giving them ideas. DJ Stewart leading off for the Mets in the home fourth. DJ is DHing tonight. Struck out his first time up. And he rockets one down the right field line. That one's heading toward the pole, and it's a foul ball. First base umpire Chad Fairchild getting down there. Was it fair? Was it foul?
Shows you how strong that DJ Stewart has. Never disappeared, so it's on the right side of the pole. But he didn't even hit that well.
I mean, that stayed true the entire time. Never wavered. Inches outside the pole when it started and finished the same spot. It's hot right now. Had a pair of doubles in the Mets last game on Wednesday in Atlanta. They only had 3 hits in that game. He was great at the doubles, not so great at staying on his feet on Wednesday. I picked off second base when he stumbled, had a ball.
So the ball hit by Grissom.
Right, dropped for a hit when he stumbled. He pulls that one down to first. Nice play by Shotwell, and the stumbling toss in time to get the diving Stewart. So the rookie Shotwell showing off the glove, going toward the line and taking a hit away from Stewart.
Well, good play here, good ready position, darts to his left, and it kind of handcuffed him here. And when he gets up, I think he thinks he can beat DJ Stewart to the bag, but then opts for the toss to Sandoval. Nice play.
Stewart diving to avoid a collision with Sandoval.
I honestly don't mind that play of diving in there if you're going to run and collide with each other.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Danny Mendick, who struck out his first time up. So that's much better swings against Sandoval's second time, and Mendick drives one out to center field. Moniak back and onto the warning track to get it. 2 out. Get it to the big part of the ballpark. The long second out. So 2 out and nobody on. That Jonathan Arauz. He struck out his first time up. That's got the first 2 men on in the second on a couple of walks, and then Sandoval struck out 3 in a row. But this second time through the order, the Mets are definitely getting better swings. This one's flied out to right. Should be easy for Renfroe. And that retires the side. Mets are down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 4th. DJ Stewart with the effort. Came up a little shy.
It's like that.
Got him and stays fair.
Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Everybody get down when we bring it to you. It's like that.
Think baseball.
There's something that's been missing in the debate.
Think analysis.
He really looked like the perfect thing to add to this club last night.
Think advanced metrics.
The new rules are having an impact, and I'll bottom line it.
Think MLB Now, the show for the thinking fan, only on MLB Network. This is Mookie Betts. This is Christopher Russo. And this is the High Heat Hot Seat. Mookie Betts plays hard, so he doesn't end up here. High Heat with Christopher Russo, helping players play harder on MLB Network.
Fifth inning at Citi Field, 2-1 Angels. Top of the batting order, Nolan Shanwell. Just made a nice defensive play to rob DJ Stewart. Now he leads off in the 5th against Kodai Senga. Third time around the Angels batting order. And the rookie takes curveball high for ball 1. Shanwell was hit by a pitch and scored on a sac fly in the 3rd after Ohtani doubled in between. The cutters foul back, a ball and a strike.
Shanwell has had quite a summer. Hit 447 in college, 370 in the minor leagues in those 21 games, and now 350 in the major leagues.
Been quite a year for Florida Atlantic Athletics.
Right?
We're under the Final 4 in basketball, and now they've got the first player in the big leagues out of the 2023 draft.
Got an unusual stance, really, those arms extremely high.
Right on top of the plate, too. And he strikes out on the fourth ball in the dirt. Welcome to the club. 7 strikeouts for Senga. That's the first out of the 5th. And now Ohtani up for his 3rd plate appearance. He's had the better of Senga so far. A walk and a 115-mile-an-hour double. I love the homemade paraphernalia.
Yeah. Ooh.
Cutter busts him inside, ball 1.
Like that pitch.
Yeah, there's a good fork ball. Got him to chase. A ball and a strike.
Fastball in, fork ball away. That big wide grip and the bottom just drops out. You don't see a lot of unusual bad swings for Ohtani.
Again, he comes inside with that cutter, and it's 2-1. Everybody's got their camera phones trained on Ohtani. His first ever game at Citi Field. And that fork ball down, 2-2. 3-1, excuse me.
I mean, everyone has their phone out, somehow trying to capture the moment.
Last time the Angels were here, 2017, the year before Ohtani made his big league debut. Senga behind him, 3-1. And he walked him for a second time. So Ohtani on base for the third straight time. That will enhance what was the league's best on base percentage coming into the night, 405.
It's like the Beatles from the mid-'60s here.
Well, it's next year's the 60th anniversary.
I know.
Beatles and Shea. So Ohtani at first with his 17 stolen bases. Brandon Drury, the batter, he drove in the game's first run with a sac fly in the third. And he takes a cutter down for ball one. Drury, generally a very aggressive hitter. This Angels lineup swings at a higher percentage of first pitches than any team in the majors. That's a slowly hit grounder for Mendick to handle, and the backhand flip gets Drury as Ohtani moves up to second. I found that hard to believe because you juxtapose the fact that the Angels swing at the first pitch more than any team in the majors with the fact that they have one of the highest strikeout totals. You would think if they swing at a lot of first pitches, you would avoid more strikeouts.
They're just not putting a lot of first pitches in play. Ohtani with an interesting base running ploy there. Tried to really blind or get in the way, distract Mendick as he was running out that ground ball.
Here's Moustakas, who drove in a run with a base hit his last time up. And he takes a splitter in the dirt. Alvarez keeps it in the neighborhood. Ball one. Everybody wants to touch Ohtani. Did you see the young Reds players gathered around him the other day?
Yes. Ellie De La Cruz,
Noel V. Marte, Matt McClain, they all wanted a piece of him. Taken for a strike, and it's 1-1.
You know, he's just really so well schooled. Watch him on this ground ball. He's going fast. He'll slow up here just to try to distract Mendick. Didn't work, but a good baseball play. He's well schooled in just about every facet of the game.
Yeah, he's got a lot of facets.
It's like
the Hope Diamond.
It's like he's our AI player. I mean, it's like you just created him. That's how great he is.
And yet, the news this week is a reminder that he's all too human, and that the human body sometimes can only take so much. 1-2 to Moustakas. And he fouls back that fastball.
You can build up everything in your arm, whether it's your shoulder, biceps, triceps, forearm, hands, and wrist. But you can't do anything with that little ligament.
And that, of course, is the rub, right? As we have developed pitchers to throw harder and harder, those tendons and ligaments that hold everything together, they have more and more stress on them.
That's right.
And you can't do anything to increase their reliability. 2-2 to Moustakas. And he struck him out with the forkball. Boy, he's had it diving tonight. That's 8 strikeouts through 5 innings for Senga. We're halfway through at Citi Field. Angels 2, Mets 1.
MLB The Show Legend Line. Ready to play?
Let's get it.
Come on. Nice.
That was sick.
Man, you like that? Check out the new Storylines mode where you can play as one of the Negro League baseball legends.
Your voice sounds familiar. Do I know you?
Just call me the captain.
Rated E for everyone.
Think baseball.
There's something that's been missing in the debate.
Think analysis.
He really looked like the perfect thing to add to this club last night.
Think advanced metrics.
The new rules are having an impact, and I'll bottom line it.
Think MLB Now, the show for the thinking fan, only on MLB Network.
Everybody wants a piece of Shohei Ohtani, referring back to the game recently against the Reds where all the young Reds players were gathering around him trying to touch him. And I always think that a true measure of how special an athlete is how revered he is by his peers. And there have been very few that I've been around where guys seem like they are in awe of another player. Ohtani is clearly one of those guys. And I was talking to Eduardo Escobar before the game today, and I didn't have to give him much prompting, and he just went off about Ohtani, just heaping excessive amounts of praise, wouldn't stop, saying there is no better athlete in the world. Forget about baseball, no better athlete on the planet. He does things that I don't know how it's possible to do, and he kept referencing all these little things throughout the games. The game where he got taken out as a pitcher because of something with his finger. Escobar said, I thought he was just going to be out of the game. He stayed in as a hitter and hit a home run. Because I don't think you understand how difficult it is to do one of these things at this level. And Ohtani, when it comes to hitting, Escobar said he barely even sees him taking much batting practice, almost never takes batting practice on the field, goes into the cage, has a little machine that he brings close to him, just gets a few hacks in at high speed, and then he goes out there and does what he's been doing. It's remarkable to watch from our perspective, but from the players' perspectives, they know how difficult it is. They are equally in awe.
Well, he took batting practice at Anaheim once, Dodger Stadium once, Yankee Stadium once. Be interesting if he takes batting practice here. They had the tarp on before the field if the weather's nice tomorrow. Steve, what's interesting about hearing Eduardo's words,
Well, Castro called out on strikes, and that's the first out of the bottom of the fifth.
it makes me think about what's going on right now. You have the Little League World Series, where the best player from most of the teams is the best hitter and he's the best pitcher. And most of these guys that play in the major leagues, or in a high majority of them, were that guy. They were the best pitcher and they were the best player. But they know you get to a certain level and that shuts down. You become one side or the other. It's an impossibility for them, their brain, to even wrap around continuing what they did as a 12-year-old, as a 22-year-old, and this young man does it.
Well, we were talking about this the other day, and this was before the news that Ohtani had the tear in his UCL. And the question is, he's 29. He's going to be 30 next year in the first year of whatever contract he signs with whomever he signs it with. How many years can he continue, if he's healthy, to do both at a high level? And I think that's, now it's exacerbated by the news this week. But I think that's something any team has to take into account when they try and factor out what he's worth. But for right now, what he's done the last 3 years,
is so far beyond anybody's comprehension. And, you know, people want to bring up Babe Ruth. There's no comparison between the two. That's call strike 3 and 2 to Nimmo. I mean, Babe did it basically for 1 year. And Ohtani's now done it for 3 years and been one of the top 3 hitters and one of the top 3 pitchers in the game that entire time. Golfed out to left field, and Grichuk is right there. And Nimmo retired 2 out. 6 in a row retired by Sandoval after his hiccup in the 3rd. When he gave up the home run to Lindor and then a double to McNeil, a walk to Alonso, but he's settled in nicely since then. Lindor hit a rope inside the left field foul pole for his 24th home run of the year.
11-game hitting streak now for Francisco.
He's got an outside shot at getting to 30-30.
Yep.
He's got 22 steals, 24 home runs. And he golfs one down the right field line, and that'll go foul.
Well, he's just so unbalanced from the right side of the plate, his natural side. And to keep that fair, just had to hit it right on the button, and he did.
Now he's at 11 of his 24 home runs as a right-hand batter. Much higher home run rate from the right side, where you get far fewer at-bats. Although the way the Mets have struggled against lefties this year, he's seen a lot more lefties than you would expect. Those are batting averages in August. Mookie Betts has been all world. He's making a run at Acuna and Freeman for MVP consideration.
Betts in 21 games in August has 7 home runs and 21 RBI.
Lindor hits one off the pitcher's glove. He recovers, and Sandoval throws him out to end the inning. That's 7 straight retired by Patrick Sandoval after 5, 2-1 Angels.
This is Garrett Cole. This is Christopher Russo. And this is the High Heat Hot Seat. Garrett Cole plays hard, so he doesn't end up here. High Heat with Christopher Russo, helping players play harder on MLB Network.
See it.
It's out of here.
Feel it.
I can't wait for this game to start. He took a home run away.
Live it.
That is as good as it gets.
The big plays.
The beauty of sports is when the hero comes through.
Yeah, the tense moments.
We have an update we must show you.
He's done it again.
With live look-ins, highlights, and breakdowns.
That might be what it takes to win.
MLB Tonight on MLB Network.
Ghostbusters was the exterior they used for Peter, Ray, Egon, and Winston, where they set up operations. A little Ghost Fork action there too. Of course, they only used the exterior on North Moore Street. They shot the interiors in Los Angeles, of course, back when they used to, you know, make movies.
Yeah, they're not shooting anything right now.
Luis Rengifo flies the first one to shallow left. LaCastro toward the line. 1 pitch for Senga, 1 out in the 6th. Senga had 85 pitches through 5 innings, so hope is to get him through this 6th inning and hope the Mets can get him some runs. So Framber Valdez is through 7 with a no-hitter against the Tigers, but he's thrown 114 pitches in those 7 innings. So if you're Dusty Baker, what do you do?
Well, with anticipation that you have October games, you have to take him out. They have a history of having some combined no-nos in Houston.
Yes, they do. Valdez has walked 5. That's why he has such a high pitch count. O'Hoppe had a base hit back in the second, 1 for 2 in his homecoming. And he takes the forkball low 1-1. St. John the Baptist High School in West Islip. That's where O'Hoppe was drafted from. That slider misses down, and it's 2-1. Senga has walked 2. He struck out 8. His biggest obstacle has been Shohei Ohtani. No surprise there. Hoppe fouls it off, and it's 2-2. What's amazing is that Framber Valdez has thrown 114 pitches through 7. When he threw his no-hitter August 1st, he threw 93 pitches in 9 innings. And he has been taken out.
Yeah. Just could not justify leaving him in there.
Well, they're in a race.
Yeah, and the bigger games are to come.
1-0 game, which, you know, if it's a 9-0 game, do you leave him in?
No.
I don't know. But in any event, Brian Abreu relieved him in the 8th. And the curveball stays up and in, and it's 3-2 to O'Hoppe. Hunter Renfroe, the on-deck batter. I'm not sure we've seen a curveball in that spot from Senga. 2-2 against a right-hand batter.
I mean, his unpredictability from start to start, pitch to pitch, batter to batter is a strength. Especially in today's game where they're trying to kind of get the things you do more often.
3-2 to O'Hoppe, the rookie catcher. And he takes one inside for ball 4. So there's the third walk issued by Senga. 1 out and 1 on. The injury report brought to you by Northwell Health. Edwin Diaz continues to progress. He's going to throw another bullpen session on Sunday. And who knows if we'll see him before the end of the year. At this point, the only reason to send him out there is for his and the team's peace of mind. Here's Hunter Renfroe, struck out twice. It's a hard shot to third. Arrows to second. One Mendick on to first for the double play. Jonathan Arrows handling that hard one hopper with aplomb and starting the 5-4-3 double play to end the inning. The Mets have no idea how many outs there are.
The next generation of baseball has arrived.
And I am here for it.
Keep an eye on the new faces of baseball on Off Base, the modern baseball show for the modern baseball fan.
It's all about things you haven't seen before.
Only on MLB Network.
Listen to live, Black-Cat-free audio from every major league club.
And Aaron Judge with some thump.
Stream video of minor league games.
That's a go-ahead grand slam.
And watch the best baseball highlights and look-ins on MLB Big Inning. The all-new At Bat is your all-in-one live baseball subscription for only $3.99 per month.
There she goes. Home run, Pete Alonso.
Subscribe to At Bat within the MLB app today.
entire team did not know there was the third out.
Watch LeCastro on left. He knew, so he's coming in. Looks like Alvarez knew. He was walking in. But then LeCastro sees everyone else, and he's like he's not sure. Just like you and I and the truck. We all kind of stopped. What, am I crazy? Maybe I got something wrong here. But I've never seen almost the whole team.
I'm not even sure what to say about that.
I've never seen it.
But if you're the manager, how do you even deal with that?
Just happy to put up a 0.
Yes. Jeff McNeil doubled his last time up, and he tops one foul. That came off his foot, and that hurt.
He's got that protective pad on his front foot, but it hit right on the inside, maybe off his lower ankle.
That's box score brought to you by Spectrum One. Home run by Lindor, the only run of the game for New York. Senga's been good, but Ohtani got him for 2 walks and a double. Senga's thrown 94 pitches through 6. There's nobody up in the Mets bullpen as yet, so perhaps he goes out there for the 7th.
Mets had a big game in Atlanta in that first game of the series, but then didn't score too much after that.
They had the 2-run homer by Vogel back in the second game, then they got shut out in the third. Mets have been very reliant on the home run ball over the second half of the season. They're up to 4th in the league in home runs, but only 9th in the league in runs scored. Alonso on deck. 1-2 coming to McNeil. And he pops this one up on the left side. Rengifo onto the outfield grass. 1 out. So Brian Abreu came in to relieve Framber Valdez, working on a no-hitter. He got the first guy out at the bottom of the 8th, and then he gave up a hit to Kerry Carpenter. So no-hitter over, still 1-0 Astros. He did get out of the 8th. Well, the former Met Dominic Leone is up in the bullpen. He did not get the tribute video, right?
No, I don't know.
I'm just checking. Aaron Loop, does he get the tribute video?
Should have with the year he had.
Did. 2 years ago, he was untouchable. Alonso's been up twice, walked both times against Sandoval. Marlins tonight were no hit for the first 5 innings. They've come back to tie up the Nats 4-4 going to the 8th. Marlins are right in the battle, 2 games out of the wild card. Swing and a miss. And they're running poor David Robertson out there every night.
It's like we are going to use our rental.
1-2 coming, and it's up and away 2-2. Well, the Giants and Reds a half game out. Marlins 2 games back.
David Robertson, the rental with unlimited mileage.
Well, maybe.
Well, that's how they're treating him.
Well, it's kind of like what the Brewers did when they got CC Sabathia. Remember that, when they got him from Cleveland, and they ran him out there every 4 days down the stretch. And Citi didn't mind, and he was fantastic, and he parlayed that into a huge contract with the Yankees.
I think CC this weekend, maybe tonight, threw out the first ball to commemorate that pitching year 15 years ago.
Full count to Alonso for the 3rd straight time. And Pete takes another walk. So 3 times in a row, Sandoval has walked Alonso. He had retired 8 in a row between the walks. Sandoval's now walked 4 tonight, and the Mets have the tying run aboard with 1 out for Alvarez.
Matt Wise, yeah, right there, pitching coach.
Alvarez was struck out with 2 men on to end the 3rd. And he takes first pitch fastball for a strike. Alonso at first, being held on by Shonwell. 1-1 to Alvarez. 95 pitches for Sandoval. And number 96 is a changeup down. 2 balls and a strike.
Boy, see the spray chart. Mostly pull. I think that'll change as his career matures because he's got tremendous power to the right side. But when it's on the ground, he pulls it.
So I'm getting RBI hit to right field in St. Louis on the just completed road trip. Pulls that one down to third, a foul ball. 2-2. 3 walks for Alonso tonight, matches career high. It's the 8th time in his career he's walked 3 times. And it's good to see Pete taking his walks. Well, you can certainly understand why they'd be careful with him as much as the guys behind him in the lineup have struggled. You got Alvarez, who's been in a deep slump, and then Stewart, the left-hand batter, who hasn't had many at-bats against lefties. And Alvarez fouls away that changeup. Sandoval's high pitch count this year is 105. His last start against Tampa Bay, he threw 104 2/3 innings. He's at 98 through 5 1/3 tonight. Again, the 2-2.
And that's driven to left field. Back goes Grichuk near the warning track to make the catch.
Alvarez hit it hard, but Grichuk got a nice jump on that ball going back and ran it down for the second out.
Well, Randall Grichuk has always been a real solid outfielder with good speed and good instincts. And as soon as this ball left the bat, it was ticketed, or so it seemed, for a double. Right on the nose by Alvarez. Might have got a little up the label. And that's what kept it in the ballpark.
Now DJ Stewart, who's 0 for 2 tonight, takes up and in for ball 1. Stewart was robbed of a hit by the first baseman Sandoval, going behind the bag at first in the 4th. And after barely missing a home run earlier in that at bat, fouled by about a foot. And he takes a slider for a strike, and it's 1-1. Alonso at first with 2 down. Mets down by a run in the 6th. And Stewart takes another slider off the plate, and it's 2-1. Sandoval has walked 4. He struck out 6, allowed just 2 hits tonight. Two and 2.
You know, Gary, this is the time of the year, because of the season and the way it has worked for the Mets with Mendick on deck, that Stewart and Mendick and Arauz and others, there's opportunity here to show what you can do.
Stewart has certainly been doing that, to the point where Erner was start against a righty tonight. Against the lefty, I should say. It's fouled back. I mean, the Mets had Abraham Almonte available. He could have played right field, switch hitter to face the lefty, but Stewart's been hot enough that he stayed in the lineup.
Senga not sitting.
He's going out there for the 7th, and he's ready to go.
He's got to wait for 3 outs, though.
I think he'd prefer to wait a little longer.
Yeah, right.
3-2 now to Stewart, so Alonso will get the head start. 7th full count now for Sandoval. He's already walked 4. Sandoval trying to get his pitcher's attention, tell him he's going to play behind the runner at first. And I think he needs a tongue depressor. Rained a little bit this afternoon, and I think he needs a tongue depressor to dig some mud out of his spikes.
I mean, now?
Well, it's one way of getting a timeout, Ronnie.
I know, but as a pitcher, it is a way of getting a timeout. But it's 3-2, and your guy struggles with control. I mean, to wait this 30, 35 seconds and then try to deliver a strike, it's very difficult to do, I would think.
Well, I would also think that there's been mud in his spikes for a while. Right? It's not like the mud just happened on his 105th pitch. Remember Senga earlier this year dealing with rainy conditions and trying to figure out a way to get the mud out of the spikes, and he's mirroring Sandoval. Of course, there's no mud in his spikes, but he's cleaning them anyway.
Maybe we can get the guys from Grand Central over here.
Reminds me of the squeegee man.
That's right.
From back in the day. Little touch-up work.
Okay, now just throw a quality pitch.
You know when they finish the shoe shine and they buff it a little bit too much?
And they snap it.
Yeah. Well, Sandoval has matched his season high at 105 pitches, and it's taken a while to get to 106, but he's about to throw it. Alonso will get set to run. Danny Mendick on deck. 3-2 coming to Stewart. And he fouled it back. How long between pitches, Dave? He doesn't have all the answers.
He has a lot of them, though. Senga just feels more comfortable kind of hanging out at the top of the dugout, leaning up against the cushions.
8th pitch of the at-bat coming from Sandoval to Stewart. Alonso takes off early, and that's ball. No, strike 3 call. Oh, wow. Stewart up in arms at that call by Jeremy Rehak. He gets punched out for the 3rd out. Still 2-1 Angels.
If you love baseball, you need to watch Baseball's show of record, MLB Tonight.
We've got a bunch of games kicking off.
Who gets you ready to start the evening? These guys.
With Harold Reynolds, I'm Adnan Burke. Good to have you with us.
Join Harold and Adnan for a first look at the night's matchups.
Shohei Ohtani. We're going to talk about this guy forever.
First take from the players.
Oh, thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me.
And the first of many breakdowns.
Let's put this in perspective.
Then, as your game night continues, stay tuned for the ultimate late-night baseball party. With live look-ins to the night's biggest moments.
MLB Tonight takes you live inside the park.
The best interviews.
I've never asked a player, do you need a blanket? It is kind of cold out there.
And cutting-edge analysis from TV's best former players fresh off the field.
Get your hands up.
There's nothing quite like MLB Tonight.
That is awesome.
This one takes the cake.
This is going to be a big deal tonight.
Exactly. You can't top that.
MLB Tonight, every night on MLB Network.
Well, the catcher sitting on the outside part of the plate, I thought it curved around the plate, and so did DJ.
Well, you have to say O'Hoppe really sold it to the home plate umpire Jeremy Rehak, but that did not appear to be a strike. DJ thought for sure he had ball 4. Instead, strike 3 for Sandoval, who throws a season-high 107 pitches and gets through 6 with the lead.
That was remarkable. Cleaned the spikes and threw 2 strikes.
In-game box score for the Angels brought to you by Spectrum One. Shohei Ohtani on base 3 times. RBIs for Drury and Moustakas. 2-1 Angels as we start the 7th. Kodai Senga still out there to face Mickey Moniak, whom he struck out twice. And the first pitch fastball is high, and he held the swing. Ball 1.
Big 1-2-3 inning here by Senga. Keeps Ohtani off the plate.
That's of Adam Kolarek up in the bullpen. That's hit down the right field line. It's hooking toward the corner. McNeil over, and it's out of play. There's Kolarek, who looked terrific the other day, working 2 full innings in Atlanta. And who is basically a lefty specialist. And a swing and a miss at a forkball, and it's 1-2 to Moniak. You got the right-hand hitter Grichuk on deck, and then the lefties, Shanwell and then Ohtani. Veteran Matt Moore up in the Angels bullpen. And a forkball strikes out Moniak. 3rd time he's been fanned tonight, and that's 9 now for Senga. Don't run out of those ghost forks.
I mean, it wasn't a great pitch early in the game, but it has been dancing the last 3-4 innings. Senga, after 7 sharp innings against the Cardinals in his last start, trying to get through 7 again.
It's Randall Grichuk, who twice has chopped the ball to 3rd, and he takes first pitch curveball for a strike. Well, Senga got away from the forkball in that last start against the Cardinals, but he's certainly back to throwing it tonight, 25% of the time, right in line with his season numbers. And he goes to the forkball there to get ahead on Grichuk, 0-2.
You know, hear a lot about pitchers trying to tunnel their pitches. One thing that Senga does great, every pitch is with the same tempo as his fastball.
0-2 to Grichuk. And he fouls that one away. Our next picks telecast will be Monday night when the Texas Rangers come to town. Mets and Rangers, first pitch 7:10, pregame 6:30, Monday night on Pix 11. 0-2 to Grichuk. And that's a little bit high, 1-2. Senga's had 2 games in his rookie season where he struck out in double digits, and both times he fanned 12 against Tampa Bay and against Arizona. He's got 9 tonight. Grichuk hangs in there, fouling off the fastball. .103 pitches for Senga. His season high is 107. One-two coming. And he just got a piece of the forkball to stay in. Probably going to be Senga's last batter. You got left-hand hitter Shanwell on deck, and then Ohtani behind him, and Kolarek ready in the bullpen. Again, the 1-2 to Grichuk. Struck him out. 10 strikeouts for Kodai Senga. His night comes to an end. Another terrific start for the Mets rookie right-hander. He was not able to retire Ohtani, but he got everybody else. 10 strikeouts for Senga. 3rd time this year he's reached double digits. And he gets pats on the back for a job terrifically done. He'll leave trailing 2-1.
Covering a full night of baseball is a team effort, and it all starts right here with Harold and Adnan on MLB Tonight's First Pitch.
Who's ready for baseball?
It's time for the first pitch.
We're about 25 minutes from game time. I'm so excited.
Our quick hitters right out of the gate.
During the games, we take you to the games where you might see a lot.
Greg, we have a potential walk-off at Wrigley.
No way. What's going on?
Oh, they've got a runner at 3rd, and Nico Horner's up.
Here's a pitch.
Base hit. Nico rocks it up. Cubs win.
Cubs win!
Cubs win! And after the games, we're all about instant highlights and player reactions.
Nico, congratulations. Your first career walk-off hit. How did that one feel?
Man, it's as good as it gets. An amazing crowd here tonight. Wrigley Field is a very special place. We're feeling good right now, for sure.
And that's how this team covers every team. All in a night's work on MLB Tonight.
The inning, but that wasn't in Buck Showalter's plans. With the left-hand hitters coming up.
I mean, at first I thought he was a little perturbed that he was being taken out, but then the big smile. So
Nolan Schanuel will face Adam Kolarek. Kolarek coming off a terrific outing against the Braves his last time out, 2 scoreless innings, and he misses with the first fastball for ball 1.
yeah, 2/3 scoreless inning against the Cardinals as well. So 2 nice outings so far for Kolarek in a Mets uniform.
Finally in a Mets uniform,
Yeah.
13 years after they drafted him and later released him. I was talking with Adam in Atlanta, said he had a lot of guys pass by him in the minor leagues, guys like Nimmo and McNeil who played with him. He topped out at Double-A with the Mets the first time around, but finally found his niche in Tampa Bay, and that's where he started establishing his career.
Well, he's got a unique niche here because there's not many left-handed relievers that throw from the side.
And his splits are very heavily weighted toward getting left-hand hitters out, but he's had to adjust in the era of the 3-batter rule. 1-2 to Schanuel. Has been hit by a pitch, grounded out and struck out, 0 for 2 in his 7th big league game. And a late swing foul on the fastball. Kodai Senga, 6 2/3 innings, 2 runs, 4 hits, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts, a hit batsman, lowered his ERA to 3.17. Just having a terrific rookie year. And Schanuel takes strike 3 call. Kolarek got him looking at a slider, and that's how the top of the 7th ends. Still 2-1 Angels.
Sure, you'll teach her how to drive a car. Then use Greenlight to power her independence with crash detection with 911 dispatch, family location sharing, and emergency SOS alerts. Invest in your best investment with Greenlight.
With Home Chef, you're not just home cooking, you're home winning. Our fast and fresh meal kits are as fast to make as they are fresh to enjoy. When it comes to making dinner, fill in the blanks with Home Chef. Delicious, meat simple.
Get 18 free meals when you sign up at homechef.com.
Welcome to the Aura Sleep Lab. You need a bit more deep sleep. Getting enough high-quality sleep increases immunity. Why? Because sleep helps fend off sickness. A good night's sleep boosts your number of infection-fighting antibodies and cells. And with your Aura Ring, you can learn how to sleep deep and keep your immunity up. It's like having a sleep lab on your finger. Go to sleep with auraring.com.
That'll be on Peacock, not us. And then next week, Texas and Seattle come in. Been a fun night on Japanese Heritage Night. Kodai Senga pitched wonderfully for 6 2/3. Shohei Ohtani has reached base 3 times. Angels have a 2-1 lead as the Mets come to bat in the bottom of the 7th. And the veteran left-hander Matt Moore is on to pitch. Danny Mendick set to lead off in the home 7th.
Well, Matt Moore had a nice streak of 12 consecutive scoreless appearances until his last one. Gave up 3 runs versus the Cincinnati Reds.
He'd been a starter throughout his career till last year in Texas when he made the move to relief. Pitched very well for the Rangers last year and having an excellent year for the Angels.
Yeah, 164 big league starts. Last year's ERA and 63 appearances with Texas, under 2.
I will always remember the first time I saw Matt Moore. In 2011, Tampa Bay called him up at the end of the year. He made 1 start, 1 big league start, and then pitched the first game of their American League Division Series against Texas. And what did he do? He threw 7 scoreless innings.
That's right.
1 start in the big leagues.
Well, at one point, he was one of the more promising young left-handed starting pitchers in the game.
Now with his 6th different team. Mendick takes inside. It's 3-1. Jonathan Arauz on deck, and then Tim LaCastro due up for the Mets. Teams like throwing lefties against the Mets. The Mets are 13-27 against left-handed starters, and Patrick Sandoval kept that notion alive. Gave up just a run and 2 hits over 6. Mendick might have swung at ball 4 and fouls it off. 3-2. Sandoval walked 4, struck out 7, allowed the home run to Lindor that accounted for the only Met run. Lindor, the 5th man due up in the inning. And Mendick slams this one down the right field side, but it'll slice toward the corner. And where'd it go? It's off the wall. A fair ball. And into second base goes Mendick. Ball disappeared from our view and hit the fence just inside the foul stripe.
Ball looked like it was going to curve foul for a while, but it stayed true. And Renfroe had a chance to make the catch, but whiffed on it. Usually a very dependable right fielder, but did not make the play there.
So the Mets have just their 3rd hit of the night. They've all been for extra bases. A home run and now 2 doubles. And the tying run in scoring position with nobody out for Jonathan Arauz, and the Angels look for the bunt. And he squares and takes a strike.
I don't know, did it get in the darker portion of that right field corner?
Looked like he put the glove up late.
Yeah.
Corner stay in against Arauz. Now he's set to swing, and he takes up and away a ball and a strike. Arauz has struck out and flied out 0 for 2. You got the number 9 hitter Tim LaCastro on deck. You let him swing. No, bunt back on, and he gets it down. A beautiful bunt.
Oh, Hoppy can't pick it up, and everybody's safe.
Well, Arauz asked to bunt. He laid it down, deadened it between the mound and home plate, and O'Hoppe couldn't pick it up cleanly.
Well, first, he deadened the bunt. So it was a very good bunt, even though it was right back to the pitcher. Went halfway between the catcher and the pitcher. And he tries to grab it with that full hand, never gets a piece of it. And I think, to me, any catcher who's involved in that situation, got to throw your mask off. You can't see the ball when you're running and it's bobbing up and down on your head and you're trying to get the ball on the ground. Toss that mask away.
Sacrifice, error on the catcher. 1st and 3rd, nobody out. LaCastro at the plate. Mets have already had a successful squeeze in the last week. Arauz at first with good speed. And squared to bunt, and he fouls it off. So I don't know if that was on his own, trying to push for a base hit, or whether it was a design safety squeeze, but LeCastro fouls off the bunt attempt.
Well, he's a good bunter, and he was trying, I think, to hit the hole, Gary, because they're giving him that whole second base hole, last perfected by Todd Frazier, I believe.
Rafael Furcal was great at that, the slug bunt. And he takes a rip at a high fastball and comes up empty, and it's 0-2. Brandon Nimmo, the on-deck batter. Drury and Rengifo at second and short move back a couple of steps. 0-2 to LeCastro. And Tim goes down swinging on 3 pitches. And that's the first out of the inning.
Well, after the failed bunt attempt, Matt Moore just threw 2 pitches right by him.
So now Brandon Nimmo, there's nobody up behind Moore in the bullpen, and keep in mind that Lindor is on deck, and Lindor has great career numbers against Matt Moore. Mendick at third carrying the tying run. Arauz at first with 1 out. And Nimmo fouls off the first slider, 0-1. Brandon's 0 for 3 tonight, hitless in his last 11 at bats. Lindor, the hottest Met hitter right now, looming on deck. Mets are 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position tonight. Middle infielders playing halfway, and Nimmo skies one not very deep in left. In comes Grichuk. Tagging in third is Mendick. Grichuk has it. Here comes Mendick. Here comes the throw by Grichuk right on target, and Mendick's a dead duck at the plate to end the inning. Randall Grichuk on a not very deep fly ball on the fly to O'Hoppe, who makes the tag, and the Mets are turned aside in the 7th. Mendick never even had a chance to slide. The ball was there waiting for him.
We love going to games, but good seats get pricey. So we use Game Time. Game Time checks ticket prices in real time and finds you all the best last-minute deals. We got our seats 20 minutes ago for 60% off. Last-minute tickets at the best price in seconds. Download Game Time now.
ED is difficult for me and for my partner. Through HIMS, I can message a licensed provider about clinically proven ED treatments. Like the generic form of Viagra, which can cost 90% less than the brand name version. Then HIMS ships discreetly to my door for free. I never knew it could be this easy to get my confidence back. Now we can both count on a great experience every time. Start your free visit today at forhims.com.
If we weren't proud of the craftsmanship and level of detail that go into every pair of Warby Parker glasses, well, we probably wouldn't show you how they're made, including this part, which is our favorite. Wow. And this is also great. Each pair comes standard with lenses that are scratch resistant, anti-reflective, and UV protective. Try 5 pairs for free at warbyparker.com.
As we go to the 8th, Adam Kolarek, who got the final out in the 7th, striking out Nolan Shondwell, stays in to face Ohtani, who he's seen before. Ohtani is 1 for 3 in his career against Kolarek. So Kolarek trying to do what Kodai Senga couldn't do, and that's retire Ohtani, who walked twice and drilled a bullet double and scored a run in the 3rd. And run right now is the difference in the game. And the sidearm fastball in for a strike, 0-1. Ohtani's hit 11 of his 44 home runs this year against left-handed pitching. And that fastball misses high, a ball and a strike.
See Ohtani imploring himself to stay back, which is hard against this sidearm left-hander. Very little stride.
And he rips one on the ground, but Alonso's there. Calera covers, just beats Ohtani to the bag. He was running hard. And that is the first time Ohtani is retired tonight. Doesn't give an inch, does he?
Yeah, he's got all the tools. So he hits this ball a little off the end, hustling all the way. Bang, bang at first.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Brandon Drury, who had a sacrifice fly in the Angels' 2-run third. All the runs in this game were scored in the third inning. Naldo Lopez is up in the bullpen for the Angels.
Came over from the White Sox with Lucas Giolito.
Well, the Ohtani fans may figure he's taking his last at bat. They're heading for the exits. Chopper hit down to third. Tough play for Arauz. Can't make the bare hand pickup. And Drury has an infield hit.
Well, ball hit so softly, and Arauz was playing so far back that by the time he got to it, it had to be a barehanded, impossible play. Couldn't come up with it.
So now Mike Moustakas will face the left-hander. We're going to get a pinch runner. That's Andrew Velasquez, the former Yankee, running for Drury at first base. And then he'll stay in on the infield. So Velasquez, who has 11 stolen bases this year, running at first base for Drury. Here's Moustakas, who drove in the second Angels run in the third with a base hit to center field. And he lifts one foul, 0-1. Let's check out that throw by Randall Grichuk on that last play of the last half inning.
Well, in the air the entire way. A little contact from Mendick and Ohapi. Ohapi looked like he was angry that Mendick would dare touch him.
By the way,
what do you think he's going to do?
By the way, if you're standing there with the ball in the baseline, you are fair game to get run over, not just shoved a little bit, even under the new rules. I mean, come on. I mean, how far have we devolved?
In a lot of different ways, Gary. You want me to start naming them? We only got a couple innings here.
You talking baseball or the world?
No.
If you're talking the world, we're going to need more than 2 more innings.
You know what's interesting about that throw from Grichuk, though? When you get that close to the line, your throw really is down the line. So when you get that close to the line, you really just want to throw that right down the white stripe. And if you can keep it true, that's the best way to get the throw online, and he did it exactly like that. It was pretty cool.
He's got Jack White playing in his,
there you go.
His iPad. So we told you about Framber Valdez, 7 no-hit innings tonight. Bottom of the ninth, 1-1 game. Ryan Presley on the mound, and Parker Meadows, first week in the big leagues, walk-off 3-run homer to win it for Detroit. So the 7 no-hit innings go for naught.
Detroit.
Parker Meadows.
What a great name. Big league name.
Great name.
They got a few. Spencer Torkelson has been playing better, hitting better, slugging better. Riley Green is quite a player.
But the best name on that team? Tarek Skubal.
Yeah.
There's Ronaldo Lopez, who we first saw with the Washington Nationals. Came over in a deadline deal from the White Sox.
How many times do 2 pitchers get traded in 2 deals? Because he came over with Giolito from Washington for Adam Eaton when they went to Chicago, and now over here to the Angels.
Shh, don't tell Todd Frazier that you mentioned his name and Adam Eaton's in the same inning.
Oh, that's
1-2, runner goes, swung and missed, throw to second by Alvarez, and It's dropped by Lindor. It's a stolen base for Velasquez. Moustakas strikes out for the second out. And now Buck Showalter will make a pitching change.
Well, good throw by Alvarez, right on the money, but just too good, big of a jump from Velasquez.
Rengifo, the switch hitter coming up. He's a much better right-hand hitter, so Trevor Gott will come in. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Ray Moore and Flanagan.
This is Mookie Betts. This is Christopher Russo. And this is the High Heat Hot Seat. Mookie Betts plays hard, so he doesn't end up here. High Heat with Christopher Russo, helping players play harder on MLB Network.
Listen to live blackout-free audio from every major league club.
And Aaron Judge with some thump.
Stream video of minor league games.
That's a go-ahead grand slam.
And watch the best baseball highlights and look-ins on MLB Big Inning. The all-new At Bat is your all-in-one live baseball subscription for only $3.99 per month.
There she goes. Home run, Pete Alonso.
Subscribe to At Bat within the MLB app today.
Any of our locations and pick up your prepaid Yes debit card. By Con Edison, where clean energy lives. And by AARP. AARP could be the permanent sponsor of our booth.
That's right. We are fully entrenched. So is Trevor Gott in here at this game. He went and had a streak of 12 scoreless appearances, but got roughed up in the last one in St. Louis. In the third of an inning, gave up 4 runs.
Luis Rengifo will bat left-handed against him. He's 1 for 3 tonight. Rengifo hitting .315 as a right-hand batter, just .214 as a left-hand hitter, so a no-brainer for Buck to bring in the right-hander to face him.
He does have some power, though, from the left side.
7 of his 11 home runs have come left-handed. He's got some pop for a little guy.
Yeah, he does. He might be short-ish, but he's strong.
Not quite Corbin Carroll at 5'9", 165 hitting home runs. 2-1 to Rengifo. So in the National League wildcard race tonight, the Phillies win again. They got number 35 from Kyle Schwarber to beat the Cardinals 7-2. The Cubs lost. Mitch Keller pitched a gem against them. Pirates got 8 innings from Keller and beat the Cubs 2-1. It's fouled back. So that's a chance for Arizona to move up to the second wild card spot if they can win tonight. It's all a mishmash. Diamondbacks are playing the Reds tonight.
It's a big series, right?
D-backs took the opener of that series last night. Velasquez, the pinch runner at second with 2 out. 2-2 to Rengifo. And he fouls back the high fastball from Gott. Adam Kolarek faced 4 batters, gave up just the infield hit to Drury. Another successful outing for Kolarek. Mets will have their big bats coming up in the bottom of the 8th. Looks like it'll be Ronaldo Lopez to face them. Another well-pitched game by Kodai Senga. It's fouled away. Mets have an unbelievable record when their starter goes at least 6 innings. They're 36 and 11 this year when their starter goes at least 6.
They're looking for 37.
37 would be good. I mean, you figure most teams are going to do better when their starters go 6, but the Mets have a much higher winning percentage than the rest of the league. And he got him looking. Questionable call by Jeremy Rehak, but he punches out Rengifo, and Gott gets the 3rd out in the top of the 8th, still 2-1.
Next generation of baseball has arrived.
And I am here for it.
Keep an eye on the new faces of baseball on Off Base, the modern baseball show for the modern baseball fan.
It's all about things you haven't seen before.
Only on MLB Network.
I'ma do what? That's on me. No, you can't shine if you stay low key. That's on me, on me, on me. I'ma do what? That's on me. But I'll keep it OG. No, you can't shine if you stay low key. That's on me, on me, on me. Didn't want that stuff, but that's on me. Built the house, I got the keys. They say you can't shine if you stay low key. That's on me, on me.
Watch games and coverage all day, every day, your way on MLB Network.
Numbers of 2 extraordinary stars. Darryl Strawberry's number 18 will be raised to the rafters next year, and so will the number 16 of the Doctor, Dwight Gooden. There's no more electrifying feeling than being in the ballpark in 1984, 85, 86 when Dwight Gooden was pitching. And one of the most extraordinary years in the history of the game in 1985 as a 20-year-old. In fact, today is the anniversary of the 1985 day when Doc won his 20th game at 20 years old.
Ended up with 24, right?
24 and 4, 1.53.
You know, I used to chart a lot of Dwight's games. I would pitch after Dwight many instances. Mike Tyson with the right hand would never knock out Dwight. And it was almost mathematically impossible when you would chart his games, the things he would do. 14, 15 strikeouts on 95 pitches. It was just amazing. As Ronaldo Lopez comes in. That's Rengifo, though, who went to second base from short. Velasquez is in at shortstop.
Lopez's 11th game for the Angels, and Lindor lifts one to left. Easing back is Grichuk. Step onto the warning track to make the catch, 1 out. So Lindor, who's been responsible for the only Met run tonight with a home run, came up a little short. So Rengifo now at second. Velasquez is short. Lopez has been terrific since coming to the Angels. 1.69 ERA in 10 appearances.
Yeah, his 11th appearance. He's only given up a couple of runs.
He's throwing harder this year than he ever has before. He was a starter earlier in his career. He threw 94, 95. This year, his average fastball velocity is up to 98.5. McNeil takes 97 up high for ball 1. Jeff has one of the Mets' 3 hits in this game. He doubled beyond the reach of Renfroe in right field. Stock is playing on the grass as though he's expecting McNeil to bunt. That's not going to happen. And that was a half swing, and he went around on the slider, and it's 1-1. Matt Moore worked a scoreless inning, got around a leadoff double when Grichuk threw out Mendick at the plate to end the 7th. And fastball outside, 2 balls and a strike. Most of these Mets have seen Lopez before. McNeil's 0 for 3 in his career against him. Ronaldo Lopez began his career with the Nats in 2016. Fastball strike, and it's 2-2. Spent half a dozen years with the White Sox, first as a starter, then as a reliever, before being dealt to the Angels at the trading deadline. Alonso waiting on deck, 2-2 to McNeil. And Jeff takes the slider down, 3-2. One chance every at bat for a deep breath. And he walked him. McNeil takes the fastball low, and the Mets have a 1-out base runner in the 8th with Alonso coming up. That's 5 walks issued by Angels pitching tonight. 3 of them have gone to Alonso. Let's see if Lopez gives him anything to hit. He just had 2 at-bats against Ronaldo Lopez, 1 for 2. And takes first pitch slider on the corner for a strike. Nasty pitch, 0-1. Pete has matched his career high with the 3 walks tonight. And that slider, this is low and away, 1-1. He is razor focused on that knee-high outside corner with that slider.
The walk to McNeil, though, put him in a little bit of a pickle here, though, because he's got a pitch to Pete.
McNeil a very short lead at first. And the fastball misses low, 2 balls and a strike. Lopez has given up 6 stolen bases this year, none caught. Not likely McNeil's going to run here with Alonso at the plate. Right side completely open for Pete. And he takes the fastball in tight. Now it's 3-1. Francisco Alvarez waiting on deck. Alvarez hit the ball very hard his last time up. Hoping for another opportunity with men on base. Big pitch here. 3-1 to Alonso with McNeil the tying run at first and 1 out. And Pete takes a fastball strike, 99 on the inside corner.
Yeah.
It's 3-2.
What a pitch. I mean, Pete just doesn't see a lot of 3-1 fastballs on the inside corner.
Well, it's Alonso's 4th plate appearance. He's had a 3-2 count in every one of them. The first 3 he drew a walk against Sandoval.
See if he doubles up inside again. If he does a 3-1, feel like he's got to do a 3-2.
McNeil at first and 1 out. He's not running, and Pete lines one. Foul. Just foul. Didn't hit it hard, but he muscled it over the third base bag, and it just faded away and went foul.
Ball seemed to come back to the field. Had so much spin on it. Well, 2 fastballs in usually means the pitcher's going to go with the slider away.
This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat from Lopez to Alonso. And McNeil, who was not running on the first 3-2 pitch, is back easily. Again, the 3-2. And he fouled back another fastball. That one right in the middle of the plate.
Well, with this newfound velocity, I guess Lopez is going with number 1.
Also, he's been so susceptible to the walk throughout his career, perhaps concentrating more on throwing strikes, throwing fastballs. 8th pitch coming. And Pete lofts that one foul, so yet another fastball from Lopez. Alonso has certainly seen his share of pitches tonight. First from Sandoval, now from Lopez. And now pitch number 9. Slider poked toward first, grabbed by Sandoval, and good base running by McNeil to not get doubled off. Well, he came with a slider after all those fastballs, and Pete just got a piece of it.
This was a tough one for Pete. It was a not a hanging slider. It was a backup slider. Never broke, got in on his bat. You're hoping there just to foul that pitch off to live another day, and it stays in play.
Amazing that bat didn't break. So 2 out, McNeil at first. Here's Alvarez, who drove one to the warning track and left that Grichuk caught his last time, and he takes a fastball strike from Lopez. Alvarez trying to break a long-term slump. 12 for his last 89. Tying run at first, 2 out. And it's away. 1 ball, 1 strike to Alvarez. Mets would love to get DJ Stewart to the plate in this inning. He has been their hottest hitter, particularly for power. McNeil at first and 2 down. And Alvarez takes a knee-high strike on the inside corner, and it's 1-2. Now Lopez up in the count, 1-2. And Alvarez goes down swinging, 99 upstairs, and Lopez finds his way around a walk in the 8th. Serious gas. On to the 9th, 2-1 Angels.
The power of baseball goes beyond the field.
What an exciting time.
Stand up,
Together.
Together. Together.
Together.
Imagine an entire channel dedicated to taking you to the most exciting moments in baseball as they happen.
And it's gone!
With live look-ins to clutch at bats.
A walk-off slam!
And players on the edge of making history.
This could be it! 62!
It's the best seat in the house at every ballpark. All commercial-free.
Can you believe it?
MLB Network Strike Zone. Wednesdays and Fridays, all season long. Keep up with every team on MLB Network wherever you go. Just download the MLB app, click MLB Network, and sign in with your TV provider info. Then watch MLB Network all day, every day, your way.
Tonight's starters brought to you by your local Honda dealers. Both Kodai Senga and Patrick Sandoval acquitted themselves well. Sandoval went 6. Senga 6 2/3. Angels on top 2-1. 1 week from tonight, stick around after the Mets-Mariners game, Friday, September 1st, and enjoy the final round of Citi Field fireworks for the season, presented by Toyota. Get your tickets at Mets.com/tickets. Sam Coonrod, coming off a lat injury that kept him out for most of the year, has been terrific since he's come back.
Yeah, 4.5 months, claimed off waivers from Philadelphia early this year, and you're right, he has been real good.
Logan O'Hoppe, first man to face him. O'Hoppe's been aboard twice in his first game at Citi Field, and he takes a slider for a strike. O'Hoppe, then Hunter Renfroe and Mickey Moniak in the top of the ninth. Carlos Estevez, the Angels closer, up in the bullpen, getting ready for the bottom of the ninth. And the curveball outside, 1-1. I was talking with Sam today about his rehab from his injury. He said the worst thing about it was I missed most of last year too. He had a shoulder problem last year that kept him out most of the year with the Phillies. And then to come back and have a good spring probably would have made the team, and he came up with a lat injury. He said that in an attempt not to get hurt again, he's had to change a few things in his preparation. No more throwing weighted baseballs anymore. That's line to short, and short hop by Lindor. Will make the throw to first to get O'Hoppe, one away. So he's doing a lot more band work rather than heavy ball work.
Yeah, that weighted ball has become a big thing for pitchers to warm up. Their first dozen throws against the wall a lot of times is with that weighted ball. I saw something the other day I hadn't seen in quite some time. Pena, for the shortstop for the Houston Astros, was hitting a weighted ball. I know, I'd never heard of that before.
With what kind of bat?
I don't know what kind of bat it was, but I was asking him what it was for. He said you got a real feel if you were hitting the ball correctly, because when you didn't, it hurt.
Right. You got to get it on the barrel. Yep. Otherwise, you get a lot of bees in your hands. Hunter Renfroe's 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts and a ground ball double play against Senga, and he takes a changeup for a strike from Coonrod. Well, Coonrod has been everything that the Mets hoped that he would be all season, albeit quite belatedly. But it certainly gives you a good feeling about his future. He's got a great arm. We've always known that from the time we first saw him with the Giants. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Renfroe.
First saw him, though, he really was a velocity guy, but he's mixed in a good changeup, a good breaking ball.
And at least so far, he's not walking people. His walk rate is down. Curveball off the plate. It's 2-2. Mickey Moniak, the on-deck batter. In the bottom of the ninth, the Mets will have their 6, 7, and 8 hitters due up. Stewart, Mendick, and Arauz. They've still got Vogelbach, Ortega, Narvaez, Almonte, all his left-handed pinch hitters off the bench. Coonrod thought for sure he had strike 3 there and didn't get the call from Jeremy Rehak, who's really had himself a rough night. Both sides, hitters and pitchers, everybody's been unhappy.
Made the right call there.
And that's outside ball 4, so it's a walk to Renfroe. After we're done here, be sure to keep it tuned after the game for Pix 11 News. New York's very own. Here's Mickey Moniak, who's been up 3 times, struck out all 3 against Senga. Renfroe at first and 1 out. And Moniak fouls off the first pitch fastball, 0-1. Sam Coonrod got to pitch in his hometown in St. Louis over the weekend. Backed it up with a 1-2-3 inning Atlanta on Monday. How strong his legs are.
Oh boy, I think he's a bicyclist.
Doesn't quite have Jonathan Broxton legs, but they're pretty solid.
If you had the Spencer Strider pants, you get a better look.
There you go.
Strider was pitching tonight in San Francisco against Logan Webb.
It's a big game for the Giants. That's grounded foul outside first with the Cubs having lost today. That opens things up for movement in the National League wild card race. Nationals have beaten the Marlins 7-4. So a Mets loss tonight would drop them into sole possession of last place. Check swing. Did he go? He did not. Hold up on the changeup, and it's 2-2. Randall Grichuk, the on-deck batter. Renfroe at first and 1 out. And Moniak able to foul off that cutter. The A's are at it again, Ronnie. They're up 12-4 on the White Sox tonight.
Yeah, one of the greatest stories going. A young infielder for them.
Zach Geloff?
Yep. Quickest A's hitter to 10 home runs of all the people that played for that organization. Better than McGuire.
Wait a second. This goes back to Philadelphia?
I think so.
Wow. Covers a lot of territory. A lot of big hitters. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Got him with a changeup. So Coonrod has his first strikeout. Moniak has the golden sombrero. 2 out.
Kind of a split change there by Coonrod. Perfectly placed.
So 2 out. Renfroe still at first. Here's Grichuk. He's grounded out twice and struck out, but his biggest contribution tonight was his throw to the plate to complete a double play, throw out Danny Mendick with the potential tying run. And it came in the 7th inning. Good fastball by Coonrod up in the zone. 0-2.
Watch the arm and the grip of that kind of split change by Coonrod. Pronates that arm, which makes the ball turn over and go down.
Makes my arm hurt just watching.
You know, whenever you release the ball anyway, your arm is going to pronate. But when guys throw changeups, naturally they want to pronate it just a little more, which is to turn your elbow over kind of in that position, and it gets the ball spinning and going like that away from the lefty. Executed perfectly by Coonrod there.
It's like something that wouldn't make your ulnar collateral ligament feel all that good.
No, it's I know when Al Jackson taught me the screwball, I was trying to learn a soft pitch. And he taught me the screwball, and it was great, except it hurt to throw it.
Grichuk just got a piece of that changeup to stay on the at-bat. Shohei Ohtani not likely to get another at-bat unless the Angels get 2 more men on.
Kind of got perfect hair, too, Gary.
Well, some people have it all. Two. That changeup runs inside. 3-2. I mean, Rookie of the Year, MVP, good flow. It's like the Triple Crown.
That's right.
Renfroe will run. Alonso still holding him on with a right-hand hitter up. 3-2 coming. And it's too high, ball 4. It goes to the backstop. Alvarez can't find it, and now Renfroe's going to try for third, and he'll make it safely. Alvarez was unsure of where that ball was after it tipped off the top of his mitt. It's ball 4 to Grichuk, second walk of the inning, and then Renfroe advances to third on the wild pitch.
Just off the top of the glove. You know, I think as a catcher, you're expecting a strike on a 3-2 pitch. So it didn't get the glove all the way up there, and it's just lost. And he made a smart play here. He didn't throw it to third because Renfroe had it. Good hustle by Renfroe. He recognizes it right away. As a catcher, sometimes you want to make that throw. Bad things can happen.
Mets will go to their bullpen. Coonrod out, Raley in. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Raymore and Flanagan.
MLB Tonight, the ultimate late-night baseball party. See the night's biggest moments, the best interviews.
We all love DJ Dan.
And cutting-edge analysis from TV's best.
This one takes the cake.
That is awesome.
MLB Tonight, late nights on MLB Network.
Listen to live, blackout-free audio from every major league club.
And Aaron Judge with some thump.
Stream video of minor league games.
That's a go-ahead grand slam.
And watch the best baseball highlights and look-ins on MLB Big Inning. The all-new At Bat is your all-in-one live baseball subscription for only $3.99 per month.
There she goes. zone.
Subscribe to At Bat within the MLB app today.
One out in Atlanta in Tuesday night's game, and he'll come in and try and get one out in the top of the ninth tonight.
Yeah, that one out was a strikeout on 5 pitches, so you're right. Not a lot of work for Brooks.
Coming to face the left-hand batter, Nolan Sandoval. Sandoval's got 0 for 3, struck out twice, but he was hit by a pitch in the third, came in with the first Angels run. They scored both their runs in that third inning, and that's been enough so far. Now they're looking for insurance in the ninth, and if Sandoval gets on base, Shohei Ohtani would get another turn at bat. Renfroe at third, Grichuk at first with 2 down. Coonrod faced 4 batters, walked 2, struck out 1, and now Raley facing Sandoval. And he takes a cutter for a strike, 0-1.
Sandoval, the young left-handed hitter, steps a little bit in the bucket against the left-handed pitching.
Struck out against Adam Kolarek in the 7th. And that sinker just missed away, a ball and a strike. Kolarek got 3 outs. Trevor Gott got 1. Coonrod got 2, and now Raley trying to get his out to keep it a 2-1 game. And that's in at the knees for a strike. 1-2. Stewart, Mendick, and Arauz due up for the Mets in the bottom of the ninth. One-two coming to Sandoval. And the slider off the plate, 2-2. Nolan Sandoval, the number 11 overall pick in the draft this year and playing in the big leagues. It's like the old days of Bob Horner and Oddibe McDowell. Straight to the big leagues with no minor leagues. 2-2. Sandoval lifts one shallow center. That's going to fall for a base hit. And that'll bring in a run. Nimmo's throw goes to third. It's cut off. Sandoval just threw his bat at the ball and he dunked it into center field for an RBI single. And the Angels now lead 3-1.
Well, very McNeil-like in this at-bat by Sandoval. Just threw the bat at it, directed it over the infield, and he could not have placed it any better than this. Grichuk taking the extra base with the intent that he could have been thrown out, but he's protecting the run, trying to score.
And now the Mets are going to walk Shohei Ohtani intentionally.
Lefty on lefty.
You've got Andrew Velasquez in the number 3 hole. Remember, he came on as a pinch runner for Drury. So rather than mess around with Ohtani, Buck, who once walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded, will walk Ohtani with runners at first and third.
It's the right play. Most dangerous hitter in the game.
So now Velasquez will bat for the first time in the game with the bases loaded and 2 out. Former Yankees hitting 192, and he grounds one to shortstop. Lindor comes in, sweeps it up, a quick throw in time, and that retires the side. But the Angels add an insurance run. They lead 3-1 going to the bottom of the ninth.
MLB The Show legend line. Ready to play?
Let's get it.
Come on.
Nice. That was sick.
Man, you like that? Check out the new Storylines mode where you can play as one of the Negro League baseball legends.
Your voice sounds familiar. Do I know you?
Just call me the captain.
Rated E for everyone.
Watch games and coverage all day, every day, your way on MLB Network.
Driven in by Nolan Shonowell. A 2-out dunker into center field.
Said that he stepped in the bucket. Well, he really didn't step. He just stayed in there. I don't know how else to put it.
He fell in the bucket, Ronnie.
He fell in the bucket. He directed it out there. It was not pretty, but so effective.
He was splashing water all over the place, and he was still able to make contact. And now Carlos Estevez, who has started this year and escaped from Coors Field, will come on to pitch in the bottom of the ninth.
Well, he set a record. He was 23 for 23 in save opportunities to start the season, but has been touched up a bit in his last few, 3 of the last 5.
Spent 6 years pitching for the Rockies, signed as a free agent this year with the Angels, went to the All-Star game this year, averaging 11.1 strikeouts per 9, and he'll get DJ Stewart leading off. Rafael Ortega is out on deck to bat for Danny Mendick, as the Mets utilize their left-hand hitters here in the ninth against Estevez. And Stewart takes a rip at a first pitch sinker, 0-1. Stewart is 0 for 3, all of that against the lefty Sandoval, who struck him out twice. Last time on a disputed call third strike. Mets have had just 3 hits tonight. They had just 3 hits Wednesday in Atlanta. Stewart had 2 of those hits in Atlanta Wednesday. He's been the Mets' hottest hitter along with Lindor.
Estevez has always had a big arm. Control problems plagued him in Colorado.
And he misses high with that fastball. 2 balls and a strike. And Stewart pops one foul. That'll come back out of play. 2-2. Ortega on deck to bat for Mendick. Arauz behind him. And still have Narvaez, Vogelbach, Almonte, all left-handed pinch hitters in the dugout. 2-2 from Estevez, and Stewart fouls back the high fastball. Daniel Vogelbach, helmet on, ready to go. Standing next to Jeremy Barnes, the Mets hitting coach. Again, the 2-2. And Stewart goes down swinging on a high changeup. And that's the first out in the bottom of the ninth.
Well, you're expecting that pitch to drop at some point, and it just stayed true. That changeup from Estevez gets away with a high changeup.
Now Ortega bats for Mendick. Ortega's been playing just about every day, sitting today against the lefty. When 1 for 8 with a home run in the series in Atlanta. Stock is in on the grass at third. And Ortega hits a rocket foul off to the right now to play. He was ready.
The school of pinch hitting. Be ready for that first pitch.
It's the Matt Stairs school.
That's right.
Rip it, rip it. And that's outside, a ball and a strike. Arauz is out on deck. I would imagine if Ortega gets on, maybe Vogelbach hits for him. If not, Arauz bats, and then you save Vogelbach to hit for LeCastro. Just try to get him up there as the tying run. This is hit to center field. Moniak with plenty of room. And that's the second out. So now 2 out and nobody on, and Arauz will bat for himself, and Vogelbach will come out on deck to bat for LeCastro.
Well, no one did pinch hitting much better than Stairs, right, Gary? 23 pinch hit home runs by the burly Canadian.
Arauz last time up laid down a bunt, intending to sacrifice, so Hoppy couldn't pick it up, and he reached on an error. Mets at first and third and nobody out in that 7th inning, but came away empty. And now they're down to their final out of the night. And Arauz takes the fastball high for ball 1. Estevez bidding for his 27th save of the year. And Moustakas in on the grass again. If the Mets lose this game and fall into sole possession of last place, it'll be the latest in a season ever that the Mets and Yankees have both been in sole possession of last place. Yankees won tonight behind Garrett Cole, but that's just their second win in their last 12 games. Washington beat Miami tonight. They've been red hot. And the Mets are in danger of their 70th loss of the year. 2-1 coming, and Arauz hits one off the fist, a foul ball, racing for it, Shanuel, but it will be beyond his reach. But now the Mets are down to their final strike. Tomorrow night, Carlos Carrasco against Chase Silseth.
Good job.
I mean, I'm sure that Chase's parents meant well, but couldn't they have given him a first name without an S in it? 2-2 coming. Line the other way, and Arauz keeps the Mets alive. Nice at bat for Arauz, just his 6th hit in 49 at bats. But it gives the Mets hope in the 9th. Vogelbach will come up as the tying run.
Nice job by Arauz. Big high fastball from Estevez, and he was ready for it. Just went where the pitch was placed.
So Vogelbach will come to the plate, hoping to run into one and tie up this game.
This is a pretty good matchup for Vogelbach. You have a guy that likes to throw that high heater. He can get to it.
Vogelbach had a really good road trip. A couple of home runs, including a grand slam, 7 RBIs on the trip. He's got 4 home runs in his last 11 games, 11 home runs for the season. He's seen Estevez before. He's 0 for 2 against him. Arauz's single, just the Mets' 4th hit of the night, their first single. Shanuel playing behind him, so Arauz will take off, and Vogelbach takes the first pitch outside. Arauz arrives at second on defensive indifference. So that takes away the force play. Vogelbach 3 for 19 as a pinch hitter this year. And that's away, 2-0. If Vogelbach can keep the inning going, Brandon Nimmo would be next. That's trying to pull one out of the fire. Estevez behind 2-0. Vogelbach took his cut. He fouled it back, 2-1.
Good swing there from Daniel.
Abraham Almonte getting ready to pinch run for Vogelbach if he gets on. 2-1 coming. And Vogelbach takes a rip at another high fastball. That's his pitch up there. He's got 2 of them. Fouled one back, swung at the other one. And again, the Mets are down to their final strike. Timeout called by Vogelbach, who has 4 career pinch hit home runs.
What if you do, if you're Estevez, you threw a high fastball by him, do you go to the same pitch, which is the strength of Vogelbach?
And he goes a little higher, and Vogelbach lays off 3-2. We mentioned that Estevez has had control issues. 4.8 walks per 9 this year. Vogelbach has a very discerning eye, but the strike zone's been a little amorphous tonight. 3-2. And he foul tips it for strike 3. Ohapi hangs on, and the Angels hang on as well. Shohei Ohtani in his first game at Citi Field reaches base 3 times. Patrick Sandoval allows just 2 hits over 6. And the Mets with just 4 hits tonight as they lose their 3rd in a row, falling to the Angels 3-1.
Well, offensively, they've only scored 3 runs in the last 3 games. Estevez gets a save by blowing one by Vogelbach there, and the Mets record, which is so impeccable when their starter goes 6 innings or more, 36-12, drops tonight.
Senga pitched well, but he took the loss after giving up a double to Ohtani and a couple of scratch runs in the 3rd inning, and that was enough to beat him tonight. Senga lowered his ERA to 3.17. The game summary brought to you by Nissan. But it's the Angels who take the opener of this 3-game series. Mets baseball on Pix 11 is brought to you by the Genesis G80 SUV. Define yours at genesis.com. By Hint, water with a touch of true fruit flavor. By Fresh Direct. And by Bristol Myers Squibb. Final score tonight, the Angels 3, the Mets 1. Game 2 of the series on SNY tomorrow night. Carlos Carrasco for the Mets. Chase Silseth goes for the Angels. Coverage begins at 6:30 tomorrow night on SNY. Our next Picks game Monday night when the Mets host the Texas Rangers. Coverage begins Monday at 6:30. Coming up on Pix 11, it's the Pix 11 News. And on SNY, it's PointsBet post-game live. Now for Ron Darling, Steve Gilbs, and our entire crew, I'm Gary Cohen at Citi Field. We'll see you tomorrow night for Game 2 of the series over on SNY.